Grace and peace, everybody. We back up in the building yet again. Welcome back, everybody. I appreciate you. Woo, it's been a long day, man. It's been a long day. Chief Executive Secondborn is in a school play, and my goodness, in the morning, I had to hear all of the ins and outs of high school theater drama. So anyway, we're back. And Candace is starting her live stream late to her each day. I see she went from 5 o'clock to 5:15 to 5:45. Now today it's 6:15. So anyway, I appreciate y'all jumping in to the most electrifying live chat on the planet. I see Miss Mandy in the building. Tina's there. Shout out to all of the moderators. Thanks so much. Give me proof now. I will share my incriminating evidence. Don't make me prove me wrong. Shout out to Ben. I appreciate you, brother, for sure. Thank you so much. Gabriel in the building. Good news. Letitia James is indicted by the DOJ. I was going to look into that, but I didn't get back in time. Sorry about that, y'all. But thank you so much for that, for sure. I thought she was on break. I think today she was going to explain the break and why she was doing it, if I'm understanding what happened correctly yesterday. Did I get your email? Let me double check. I have been on the road since I logged out the last time, but let's just check real quick. We're always looking out, I did get it. And I just hit you back real quick. Just let me know if I got you back. Thank you so very much. I will be responding to that shortly. We gotta get our meds. She gotta get her meds filled. Y'all are wild, man. Y'all are wild. Shout out to all of y'all. Thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat on the internet. I appreciate you for sure. And let's see real quick. Candace is up. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what she's talking about, but we're gonna pull it in nonetheless. We're going to find out what it is together. Let's go. Let's roll. All right. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. At the moment, she always starts out with no audio for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. Anyway, I appreciate everybody who's jumped in. Thank you so much, everybody who rocked with us a little bit earlier today. Please make sure when you hit that like button, put your number in. Let us know what number you are. Look, and welcome to Kat K, who is a brand new member. Shout out joining the family. Welcome to you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and coming aboard. Say what's up. All right, let's see what we got.
All right, you guys, happy Thursday. Last show until I take a much needed break. And it's going to be a good one. As always, as we continue this investigation, we are definitively getting closer. So what do we recall? Well, we were told that Charlie just had healthy bones, that it was a miracle that the gun did not take his neck out and that his spine somehow stopped it. I can now officially debunk that Marvel storyline and therefore refocus our investigation on what actually happened on 9/10 because I have new information and I'm presenting it to the public today. Plus, later on in the show, Josh Hammer has emerged. You know, he's the one that thinks that all white European men are anti-Semitic. Well, he is now releasing text messages between him and Charlie that literally prove absolutely nothing other than that Josh Hammer is a dummy and didn't realize that the text messages make his storyline somehow even less credulous. Good news is that he at least didn't plug his book. Welcome back to Candace.
That's going to be interesting because we've already read those text messages, and it's going to be interesting to see how she attempts to add a negative spin to these text messages. So let's go.
All right, you guys, where to begin? Obviously, we have a lot to unpack before I go on vacation. I'm looking forward to reading. I'm also looking forward to processing a lot of the information that is coming to me and researching more. The place that we should start on today's show is with, I first and foremost have to tell you right at the top, I can't tell you exactly who the information came from or which parties were involved in giving me this information because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I can say that I have positively verified something about the injury that Charlie sustained to his neck that I think is going to go a very long way in terms of helping those of us who have been sleuthing, those of us who want answers, those of us who are dedicating our time to this, because what we are being told by the authorities beggars belief. As John and Arena Mappin said, it just simply beggars belief. We also want to make sure that we are presenting evidence and debunking one another where we can, so that all of us can collectively zero in and build upon whatever facts we have in this decentralized investigation. This is about the injury, okay? So Andrew Kovats was, I can tell you, telling the truth in part when he wrote that very long tweet in which he tried to explain why there was no exit wound. Do you recall this? Long story short, he said, I'm going to read it. I want to address some of the things that the lack of an exit wound, about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize if this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc., but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, it was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed. His bone was so healthy and the density was so in that he's like the man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable, miraculous. Now, keep that up for just a second because it's really around here. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel that we just went, something's not right. Something not right. A lot of stuff's not right. I just don't know why a surgeon would be saying something that actually only the medical examiner, somebody that specializes in forensics, could really contribute. Yes, a surgeon can tell you, or actually any person with common sense can tell you that your bone density is better when you're younger. But this seemed a little bit too performative. Now, I can tell you the part that he is telling the truth about is that Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet without question. Okay. And this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there. And I'm telling you this 100%.
Okay, I got to stop for a second. Who's honestly questioning whether or not, is that really what anybody's honestly questioning, whether or not Charlie's bone stopped the bullet or not? If, sure, the man of steel comment, a little bit much. The miracle thing, ma'am, you believe in the Eucharist becomes Jesus's physical body. Like, maybe you should tamper down that rhetoric. This is just weird. Like, wait, what? Oh, how are you starting with this? Okay, let's go. I'm sorry.
Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit. And at least a fragment of the bullet was recovered from his neck. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it was recovered from. I have fact-checked this information from multiple sources now. I've actually been sitting on this for a little bit over a week. Right around here. So think about almost in line with your shoulder blade right in the center. Now, why is that helpful? Because it gives us a bullet trajectory, okay? We went in here where you saw that, and it was stopped, and a fragment was pulled from, think right, if you're just touching your spine in line with your shoulder blade. That leads us, obviously, to the part that...
Everybody, I just want you to know that I have a pain in my back right about here. And, you know, it's in line with the third ray of the sun. And it's right here, just like if you were touching the little muscle on your back, right there. What's the purpose of this, Candace? Candace, come on. You're literally not showing us anything. What is this? And people are saying, I guess Tatum said this. Okay, so this is not new information. It's not revelation knowledge. And what are you doing? Like, it's right here. Man, we can't even see what you're pointing at. She does need a break. Y'all pray for Candace. She needs a break.
That is maybe not being forthcoming about. They did not recover a bullet from a 30-06. They didn't recover a bullet from a 30-06. Just didn't happen, okay? They had found a 30-06 bullet. Charlie's death certificate certainly would have reflected that. In suicide situations, as just one example, medical examiners, feel free to chime in. I've spoken to quite a few. But when the gun and the bullet are known, they are reflected onto the death certificate, okay? There is not one reflected onto Charlie Kirk's death certificate.
At this stage of the game, Candace, we need to see that death certificate. I'm sorry. You've proven to us that you're not able and capable, or maybe not willing, to interpret information, the facts as they are. So we need to see it ourselves. Have you seen the death certificate? We need you to see that. We need to pull it up on the screen, just like you pulled up Andrew Kovit's tweet. I need you to pull that death certificate up on the screen. Otherwise, ma'am, we don't care what you're talking about.
As they did not recover a bullet from a 30-06. Hunters and military men rejoice. It turns out that common sense still rules the roost, okay? You guys were right. You were absolutely right. And this is why I hate politics, because it requires us to submit to the idea that we were all somehow born yesterday. That it really can just, life really can just be a Marvel comic with people that are, I guess, a DC comic where there are men of steel that are able, because they're young, to stop 3,000 pounds of energy that is coming at them. That didn't happen. So where does that leave us, guys? Well, the part that is now extraordinarily suspicious is that Andrew is claiming that he had a conversation with the surgeon who offered up the idea that it really was just your modern Christian miracle, that Charlie was just young and his bones had a lot of density, which made him stronger somehow than a Cape buffalo, enough push-ups and asparagus, and you too can stop 3,000 pounds of energy coming at.
See, this is the silliness, because whether Andrew was right, again, I think the Man of Steel comment was a little bit much. The miracle comment, maybe not. But can we all agree that the bullet did not leave his body? I think we all can agree that is a fact. Whether or not we say is because of bone density or because of a miracle or whatever, what we can say emphatically is the bullet didn't leave. So for some reason or another, as you're sitting here making all this hay about 3,000 pounds of pressure, or energy rather, it stayed in his body. That's it. Why and how it happened, we can figure that out, but it did happen. So why are you making this hay, Candace? I don't get it.
What are we to make of that? What are we to make of the fact that Charlie did not do that, actually? It means that he was shot with a completely different kind of gun, obviously. Okay?
No.
Where this would make sense.
Where is it? No, just because I say it doesn't mean it's true. As much as, again, I'm a bullet tourist, okay? I am not that guy. But I think anybody who is a bullet specialist or shoots often can say that bullets don't always behave like you want them to behave. One bullet will do something weird out of a magazine. Like, why are we acting like, again, and to position it as if she's giving some new information when Josh Hammer dropped that hammer on her today? So she starts with this. Man, this don't need to happen. We need to hear what you got to say about Josh, because Josh brought that noise. Let's go.
Where it would make sense that outside of an artery effectively exploding from the front, there was, his neck didn't explode, which that particular weapon that they were trying to tell us Charlie was killed with would have gone through about 7 necks, okay? You will recall that throughout all of this, or during this mayhem rather, there were people who were insisting, by the way, that were on the ground, the witnesses that were insisting that they heard multiple shots. It's another element of this. But those individuals were not the ones that were awarded with mainstream media interviews. In fact, one guy, and this kind of went viral at the time, even got physically pushed, and was not given the ability to speak at all. They shut him up. It looked, if we were just examining the situation, it certainly looked like Turning Point employees or staff or students thugged him so that he wouldn't say what he
Wow.
thought happened. Let's take a listen to that clip that has gone viral.
I was standing from probably the third row in the bottom. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off. Get off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Certainly emotions were running high. He was just trying to speak and to say what he saw. And interestingly, though, if you think...
Wait, it's interesting because that young man doesn't say that he heard 2 shots. Did I miss that? Okay, we're going to run it back. I didn't hear him say that he heard more than 1 shot. So what is the deal? I don't know why they made him leave. Let's be honest there. But let's hear it again.
I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off.
But that wasn't 2 shots, though.
Off me! Get off me!
Emotions are running high right now.
Certainly emotions were running high. He was just trying to speak and to say what he saw. And interestingly, though, if you think through what he said there, he said, I was in the third row, right? And a shot rang out and I looked to my left and I looked to my right. Now, we're not specific on where exactly he was standing, but if a high-powered rifle came from 250 yards behind you, you'd probably look back first, right? Like common sense, if you heard the sound...
She loves to get caught in the weeds. When something surprising that you don't know what happened, maybe he looked to the left like that. And then I looked to my right, meaning I came back and looked forward. Like, why does she make such a big deal out of things that are really almost like given? Like, if you hear a sound and you don't know where it's coming from, you're going to look to, okay, this ear heard it. That doesn't make sense. Why does she get lost in the weeds like this? This is embarrassing for her. And I really think she's doing some groundbreaking investigation there. That's crazy work.
Coming from behind you, you would look back, probably
From
even
the
before
left.
your brain came online. Your instinct would be to duck and to make sure that you're not going to get hit by something that's coming from behind you. Now, to clarify immediately here and to again debunk some other internet conspiracy theories, that is not Andrew Colvett in that video. A lot of people were like, is this Andrew Colvett from Turning Point USA hiding under a hat? It is not true. I spoke to Andrew on this actual day. He definitively flew in to Utah after the shooting took place. He was not therefore on the ground. But the person that is in that video, as soon as I just put up a picture and I said, I'd like to identify this person, his friend first left a nasty comment, like, why are you trying to look out for this guy? He did the right thing. How dare we ask questions? Like, how dare we try to get testimony from anybody else that day? Kind of then messages me privately because I reached out and I'm like, I'm just trying to confirm the story. And I reached out and he says to me, well, and I'm paraphrasing here, he doesn't want to speak to you. He doesn't want to speak to media because he's been instructed not to speak to media because he's gotten the Turning Point chapter into trouble before for speaking out in the media. And he just doesn't want to do that. And I said, that seems very strange to me. What are you saying to me? You have a TP USA person who can't speak out about things. There were tons of people that were talking about their testimonies. It's very odd. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, you're telling me that Turning Point USA, sent around a text and said, nobody speak to the media. That was his excuse, by the way, for why he shut that guy up. People were saying, oh, they're not allowed to speak to the media. So they were just doing what they were told. Well, then it's kind of interesting. You should know that I then determined that the person doing the shoving is first and foremost not a Turning Point USA employee. He is beyond that not a student at UVU. He is not a Turning Point USA student, therefore, either. He was actually brought in as a volunteer, which I found to be quite strange. Like, look, I've done a lot of campus stops, and typically it's the chapter of that school that does everything. It's the chapter that handles everything. Now, bigger events, they certainly work with other organizations, and it's possible, I guess. It registered to me as odd that a volunteer would have the courage to shut down a kid that's speaking in that way, in that aggressive manner. I would imagine Turning Point would tell their volunteers not to get physical with students on campus. But what do I know? I just have common sense. Now, how do I know that he is not a Turning Point USA employee and he is not a UVU or Turning Point U?
Okay. This is exhausting because, all right, fine. The student was talking. The guy came and hushed him up. That's true. Maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe he should have. Maybe he was given, maybe he had a dream. Maybe Charlie came to him in a dream and said, shut that guy up. I don't know. Where are we going with this? Like, what is the result or the end goal of this? It makes no sense. Like, what are you doing, Candace? This is embarrassing for her. It really is.
USA student, because despite him stopping a college kid from speaking about what he heard, that young man, whose name is Cooper, and I'm very comfortable telling you this because, well, he went on Fox News that very night to provide eyewitness testimony to exactly what he heard and what he saw, because apparently he was the person that was holding the mic when the shot rang out. Take a listen to what he told Jesse Waters on the night of.
Cooper Brown was an event volunteer who was just feet away from Charlie when he got shot. Cooper, what happened?
Yeah, so this requires a little bit of background knowledge, but so I work for an organization called Leadership Institute. And what we do is we work hand in hand with all the different conservative coalition groups on college campuses. So the Young Americans for Liberty, the Students for Life, and the Turning Point USAs. And so at Utah Valley, we had been really, really excited to be able to host Charlie Kirk this semester. And we had spent weeks and weeks and weeks getting volunteers, advertising for this event, and just so excited to be able to host Charlie Kirk at this university. And then unfortunately it had to end in absolute tragedy.
So I'm trying to get in touch with this individual once I realized that not only did he speak the night of, he also spoke on Fox News the very next day, which would mean what? Did Turning Point USA, I don't know the answer to this, I'm asking genuinely, did they say speak to this person who's not actually a TPUSA student, but he was there? I don't know how this works. But the next day, sure enough, he appeared on Fox News again. And I'm not sure if we had that clip, Skylar, but if we do, let's roll it.
That day we had 30 or so student volunteers that were designated roles that were going to be helping pass out Turning Point USA merchandise and getting people signed up for the event. And my responsibility was, when the event actually started, to help manage just the microphone. So something simple as just raising it and lowering it, making sure students were able to speak into it clearly. And I thought this was a fantastic opportunity to be up really, really close, to be able to witness all the amazing dialogue that was going to be happening on campus.
Couple of things about Cooper Brown that to me is a bit of a mystery at this moment. First and foremost, you provide witness testimony, you start doing the rounds on Fox News, you are fair game, okay? I'm going to start asking questions because I need to know everything. Everything's got to fit neatly into my timeline. So in trying to reach out to him and
just how evil that sounds. Like, listen to what she says. Like, I need to listen to those words.
couple of things about Cooper Brown that to me is a bit of a mystery at this moment. First and foremost, you provide witness testimony, you start doing the rounds on Fox News, you are fair game, okay? I'm going to start asking questions because I need to know everything. Everything's got to fit neatly into my timeline. So in trying to reach out to him and in publicly posting, hey, I'm trying to identify this individual, I received a ton of emails. One email said, hey, I'm actually his cousin, and here is his number. Now, I noticed that that cousin happens to live in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, my gosh.
So I went and just checked some profiles on social media. I found some Browns, but they were all living in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, maybe this person's from Phoenix, Arizona. Well, actually, when I went through what he has as his resume on this website where he says that he works with this institute, I couldn't fact check any of the things. Went to school, a very small college in New Hampshire.
Like, man, the fact that she's digging into this boy, this is a young man. Like, again, man, that's scary, man. This woman talking about, because you've been on Fox News, you're fair game. And she's digging into his resume and she can't verify it. So therefore, man, that is scary, man.
Hampshire. I'm from the Northeast. If you're going to school in New Hampshire, especially not the University of New Hampshire, you can go ahead and bet that you're going to be a local. So I'm looking for a kid that's from New Hampshire to go to this tiny school. I found someone from that name with his name, but it was actually a girl that had that name and graduated in the year that he says that he graduated in. He doesn't look to me like he just graduated college, but according to his resume, he did. And the number that she gives me, which is the first thing that registers to me as odd, is it's a Utah. Sorry, it's a Phoenix-based number. So I'm going, who is this person, and why is it linking that number to somebody else who is 32 years old and has that same last name? I don't know. I intend to get those answers.
Wow.
But there's something here that strikes me as a little bit odd.
That is so messy. This, man. Y'all, I don't pray for somebody to get a lawsuit, but I pray that she gets 15 of them. Ma'am, I can think of 35 reasons why somebody would have a Phoenix phone number and lives in Utah. Ma'am, oh my gosh. Yo, man, like, I know that's crazy work. Why would you do that? And then again, she's putting this out there. She's done no research. So why are you putting it out there? You don't have your research done. You're serving a half-baked cake. That makes no sense. Why do that? Man.
Especially given the fact that as a volunteer, as he expresses there, they decided to allow him to hold the microphone. That's supposed to be like kind of an honor at Utah events. Turning Point USA kids work really hard to put these events on. They decided who's going to hold the microphone. They went with a volunteer. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, okay? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So if you went to the Southern New Hampshire University with this Cooper Brown and you majored with him in politics and you can provide some insight, I'd like to hear from you. I am, again, asking these questions publicly because we are getting no answers from Turning Point USA or the feds or anything that makes any practical sense.
Because you're not on the investigation.
Why is everything so brand new on this day?
Because you're a muckraker.
Now, for those of you that are still caught up in what I just told you, which is that for a fact, Charlie was shot from the front. So we know the bullet trajectory. There's no games here. There's no magic bullets. It's a smaller weapon, okay? Your ears didn't betray you. My ears didn't betray me. We definitely did hear a very recognizable sound of a rifle shot, but I'm telling you that Charlie wasn't hit with that rifle. And there is not a medical examiner's report or a death certificate which will stipulate otherwise. It doesn't exist. So what exactly are the feds building their case on? Vibes or sheer corruption? Because I'm thinking it might be the latter. And who would be the person that can make that fit? Look, I did receive a tip, and guess what? There was another person in this never-ending brand new cast of characters that was also involved in this story, and this person in an email insisted to me that this is somebody that we should look further into. That's the medical examiner. It is a woman named Dr. Deidre Weiss Amaro. Deidre Weiss Amaro is her name, and she blew in from California. She was announced as the new state medical examiner in May of 2024. From Missouri. I think she also worked at some point in California, and she was announced as the new Utah medical examiner, state Utah medical examiner in May of 2024. So I'm interested in learning as much as I can about this medical examiner. I'd like to know more about this medical examiner. And if you've got something, you know this her personally, story, please do send it to us at moretips@candaceowens.com. Now, it is possible, given what we know about Fed-type operations and what
that is so gross. Just, man, I'm sick to my stomach that this woman is putting people's whole bona fides out there. She didn't put a target on this little college student or whatever. She didn't put the medical examiner on lock. This is ridiculous and has no shame. No shame at all. That is some gross stuff, man. I don't pray for people to get lawsuits and get sued. Y'all, thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat on the internet. There's 555 of y'all on here. And I'm just going to tell y'all right now, I apologize up front. I pray that she get 45 doggone lawsuits. I mean, not everybody's a Macron where there's like an argumentation about whether or not they're a public figure or not. These are just normal Joes and Janes, and she just putting their information out there. Man, that's wild work. I don't know this person, but I want to know.
About the JFK shooting, which we are still not allowed to tell the truth about, but we all know what the truth is, that there are often decoys, even decoy sounds, that it is totally plausible that there were multiple people there that day who found out maybe even in the last hour, which one of them is going to take the shot, right? It is likely that a rifle was fired to muffle the sound of a smaller gun, which maybe actually kind of had to, if we're considering the trajectory that I'm telling you, here to here, kind of had to come from the front of Charlie. And I will say that is now my well-informed opinion that we are looking for a person that was a lot closer to Charlie and likely in the audience. And that goes a long way, by the way, in terms of trying to explain why they're maybe hiding the footage from behind Charlie's head. Maybe that is the reason.
Are we doing the footage thing again?
Was so crucial first and foremost. Now there are tons of other cameras. That one gets grabbed first. It seems to me that there's a lot of hiding and there's definitively a lot of lying that's going on. I told you, Tyler Boyer lied. He just lied. The person who took the cameras down was absolutely not instructed to do so by law enforcement. He just wasn't, okay? So why say that? Also, why grab the one behind his head first? Of all the cameras, why that one first and foremost? And when I actually think about the clip that I was shown.
This is like child logic. This is like the way a child would think. If you have children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you worked with children, this is how they think. They can't think robustly. They can't think in proper categories. What makes you think that he's the only one that took down cameras? How do you know? Sure, maybe he was closer to that one and grabbed the camera that is closest to. Why does it have to be a big conspiracy, a grand conspiracy that he took down that camera? Did he take? I guess the next logical question is, did he take down any other cameras? Were there other cameras also being taken down? Maybe people were responsible for their particular camera. I'm responsible for camera 2. I'm responsible for camera 3. I got camera 4. Like, why is that? Why can't you not, as an adult, a whole grown, big age woman with 4 kids, not be able to ascertain there might be another reason behind this? And to be proud. That's the thing also. To be big proud of how ignorant this is. That's ridiculous, man.
It was more to the right. I actually feel that there is this remarkable blind spot on the left of Charlie, which is why I was asking if anybody had footage, not footage if you're sitting there and taking footage this way, but if you are Charlie, I want to see what he would have seen looking slightly to his left. By the way, despite the fact that we had this amazing cast of characters, all these Caldera engineering connected people who made it to the...
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna back that up. Did y'all catch that, what she just said?
Law enforcement. It just wasn't, okay? So why say that? Also, why grab the one behind his head first? Of all the cameras, why that one first and foremost?
All right, listen to what she says about seeing the footage that came from the camera that was behind Charlie. Listen to what she says.
And when I actually think about the clip that I was shown.
She was shown the clip. So that means she saw the clip, allegedly.
It was more to the right. I actually feel that there is this remarkable blind spot on the left of Charlie, which is why.
So she alleges again that she saw the clip of the footage that was in the FBI or authorities' possession, allegedly. I don't think I'm sorry. I don't think this woman is rash. I don't think she's telling the truth at all. I really don't.
I was asking if anybody had footage, not footage if you're sitting there and taking footage this way, but if you are Charlie, I want to see what he would have seen looking slightly to his left. By the way.
And in a moment, she's about to drag the company again. But you saw the film. If you saw it and you say that there was a blind spot, then guess what? You saw it and there was a blind spot. If you saw it. This is not new information. It's not like there was a second camera up there facing the audience.
Despite the fact that we had this amazing cast of characters, all these Caldera engineering connected people who made it to the mainstream media to talk about what they heard, there was actually one eyewitness there who could not be shoved out of the way and was able to make his way onto Fox News immediately after to provide a description of where he believed the shot came from, and that's Jason Chaffetz, right? Jason Chaffetz is a former politician and a Fox News contributor who was a witness to this event because he is from Utah. He attended this event. He apparently was in communication with Charlie ahead of the event. And I have to say that of everyone that day, he's maybe one of the few people that I would say on the mainstream media that seemed genuinely shaken by the event. He went live, was speaking through what he saw, what he heard, what he was expecting, and he was rebutting, because he was on a couple of shows, rebutting the idea that the shot was from far away. That's very interesting to consider. You got a bunch of kids who are trying to speak and they're getting censored. Then you have a bunch of people that are giving a platform and they seem weird, right? Tiffany Barker on Good Morning America, vibes were weird there. Okay, not assigning any necessarily badness to her.
Then why are you doing this?
Didn't feel right. Jason Chaffetz, however, genuinely, when I looked at the footage, he seemed shaken by the event. And let's hear where Jason Chaffetz says he believes the shot came from. Take a listen.
Being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. The other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the second level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie, so that awning that you're seeing there, there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking at
if I had to guess, again.
I know
And then elsewhere, when he's on Fox News and people are saying the shot was from like the Losey building, he doesn't believe that.
So the reason she likes him is the reason he's genuine, the reason she's getting that vibe from him is because he says something that she wants to believe. She wants to believe that the shot came from somewhere else. And therefore, because the shot came from somewhere else, and this gentleman is co-signing said shot comes from somewhere else, then he's the vibe. And everybody who thinks that it came from somewhere, from another building or from outer space or whatever of that nature, they are the enemy. They cannot, they're weird. They're off. The vibe is bad energy, which by the way is interesting terms, but I digress. So that's the only reason she likes this person. And again, I don't think he's on the investigation. I don't think he's an investigator at all. I do find it odd that Candace mentions that he was a politician, but she doesn't scour his LinkedIn and his Facebook and goes to his mailbox and finds out what his favorite drink is at the local coffee shop. It just seems interesting. She just says, oh, he's a politician. Let me go ahead and keep going. Whereas with Lyman, she drug him through the mud and everything like that. Everybody else, she drags. Like, why did she not drag this guy? Oh, and his testimony is actually what she wants to believe.
He doesn't believe that. By the way, Jason Chavitz, he's been honest about his background. His parents are in the government. They're literally in the FBI. So he's telling you that shot was closer. So what gives?
So because my mom and parents are in the FBI, I know where a gunshot came from? Okay. Okay.
Also, why is everybody telling lies? I want to be very clear. It's possible that the people at Turning Point are simply terrified. That's definitely a possibility here. They are very much aware of what these people are capable of, and maybe they're just trying to get by. They're being told what to say and what to do, and they want to keep the peace. But here's what I think may have happened. I think that I accidentally ruined the Fed narrative. I think the plan was to never allow the back footage of Charlie to see the light of day.
Not the self-importance of Candace Owens. Like the whole thing has been, again, we're no longer talking about Charlie Kirk. We are talking about what Candace Owens is going to find out today. So Charlie Kirk, whatever, Erica Kirk, whatever, TPUSA collateral damage. Literally, I broke the story. And again, I'm going to say it emphatically. I don't believe she saw it. She said she saw it. Then she later on said, release the footage so that we can see it. And now she's saying that she saw it again. I don't think she knows what she did. I don't believe she saw the footage, period. And if Turning Point, they're not under obligation to divulge that information. So if the person that did do it, I think he should catch some a pink slip if he did in fact do that. But I don't think she actually saw it.
Never was allowed to see the light of day. That way, they were going to say that they recovered a 30-06 bullet, right? Instantly, we recovered a 30-06 bullet. They were maybe when they were digging stuff up, and there it was, and it went through. We wouldn't have known. We would have been none the wiser, right? No one else is telling us anything or showing us anything. And I think they were going to say, or the other option, like it completely took his neck out. We wouldn't have been any wiser. But then I watched it, and the thing that jumped out at me was that not only did the bullet not pierce through, that there wasn't a single dot of blood on Charlie's bleach white shirt until he falls out of frame and onto the ground. I think we accidentally ruined what they were going to try.
And again, when she said that she saw the footage, she said there was no blood whatsoever, but some blood on his finger, on his left hand. Now she can see the blood that would be from the front with the camera that's behind. Okay. All right. I mean, what? Okay. At this point, we're just playing intergalactic Calvin ball. She's just saying stuff now. Like, you're just disagreeing with yourself. We're going to have her argue. We should have Candace argue with herself, like at this point, because you're just saying things and it doesn't even make sense anymore.
But I don't like little lies. When there is one lie, there's 20. I do to frame this. I think they wanted this to be 30-06 narrative. And now they're going to have a lot of difficulty getting that through a courtroom. They panicked, tried to explain it away. They're saying that it's a miracle. I don't think it is. It obviously was not a miracle. I think it is likely that what we should be looking for are two people that had weapons that day. Somebody that was in the audience, somebody that was elsewhere with a rifle. That explains also why, by the way, when I take a look, there's so many adults. There's no UVU kids that were in the mainstream media. Cooper's not even a UVU kid. He's not a TPUS kid. Why were they not able to find UVU students to say what it is that they heard and what they saw that day? And what's really interesting is I told you guys already about Nick, who has been assisting me on the ground. And one of the first things he said to me was that I felt like they were coming around, the feds were coming around, and they were trying to implant memories into our heads. So he was like, I felt like there were these people walking around that we didn't recognize, and they were like, you heard one shot, we heard one shot, we heard one shot. And he's like, I know that sounds weird and conspiratorial, but it seems like they were trying to make us believe that this is what we heard. And it's interesting also because remember, when Phil Lyman gave us his footage and he walks outside of that building, the two now infamous goth girls who are not goth at all and they're just wearing black, they say that they heard 2 shots. They never made it to Fox News. They never made it to the mainstream media, but they too also said that they heard 2 shots. Take a listen.
You see where that came from? It was right here, wasn't it?
It was like over here.
Yeah.
What can I say, guys? I think it's pretty obvious that our instincts about this have been correct from the very beginning.
So, again, man, I feel bad for her because she's really trying to insert herself into this narrative, and she's done it. She's done a masterful job. Hat tip to Candace. She's definitely, yeah, you're right there in my mind. You're right there. I'm just like, dude, it was an echo. You're in a canyon of buildings. You're going to get an echo. That's not unheard of. And again, we're asking untrained professionals to give their assessment, and they don't know. So yeah, they did look to their left to look back. Yeah, they did say there was 2. They're not professionals. This is not their job. They're students at best. Like it just seems really weird, man. Like, and the fact that she is putting people's whole bona fides out there, like, come on. And this is what you call journalism? I'm trying to get done.
We probably need to be now looking for a shooter that was in the audience and to the left. I've seen you guys. I saw some guy, Alex Jones, that created he created a whole web and explained and did this all on a computer of where the trajectory would have to go. We need you again, ballistic YouTubers, gun people, gun enthusiasts, military men, the people that they're discounting and saying you have no right to get clicks. No, please get clicks. Explain to us what it is that you know in this decentralized intelligent agency, given the information that I am telling you, okay, that unless we have a bullet that's doing the worm like a WWE wrestler, okay? Bullets fire straight.
Something else I noticed about Candace.
Went straight into the...
I know something else about Candace. When Candace gets chastised by her ops, when Candace gets her hand slapped by somebody that she has issue with, she will address them, but really with the least amount of vigor whatsoever. Nobody is asking about the trajectory of the bullet today. We want to know how hard did that hammer hit? We want to know what that hammer do. And I'm realizing I'm scrubbing through here. She still is not going to talk about that for some time. She's going to go on for almost 8 more minutes talking about that before where I think she starts talking about Josh Hammer. So her show is only going to be 45 minutes to an hour. So she's going to spend the lion's share of her show talking about this bullet. And I got this bad feeling she's not going to address the Josh Hammer comment. And I want to talk a little bit more about that as well. Because I thought about it. I noticed whenever she gets chastised, she never addresses the meat of the topic. Remember when BB dropped that letter, what did they talk about? The date. They talked about the redaction at the bottom. They didn't talk about what was actually in the doggone almost 4-page letter. Nothing. When the text messages were brought out, what is she? I'm sorry. When these text messages come out right here, she's going to talk about something that's ancillary again. And let me know if I'm wrong. But I feel like there was another point as well that she made. Let me get finished with this because I want to talk about these supers, but I want to get to the commercial.
Left lower side of his neck essentially exploded his artery and did not exit out of the back, but that is where a bullet fragment was found. So map it out for us. There's something else that I would like to point to that is getting interesting, and that is regarding Caldera Engineering. So
again, this is the company that makes the valves. So she's about to put a whole company. They've been doxxed on Yelp and Google because of her. So she's going to double down. Who was asking questions about Ninja Turtles? Who was asking about valves and manhole covers? Nobody was doing that. She's the only one doing that. I really hope they're able to sue her.
Now, I said from the very beginning that this company was shady. It flagged me as weird. All I was trying to do at that point was not looking to Caldera Engineering, but rather to track down the footage. Irwin Steel, this steel, so many steels were involved. It turns out the steels are big with Caldera Engineering. And things aren't adding up with this company, okay? It's just not adding up with this company. And I can tell you, I was receiving information from people who work with valves, who have been in the industry for 30 years, that live nearby, and said, I have never heard of Caldera Engineering. That's not normal. I've never heard of them. I've never worked with them. I've never received any of their valves. Something's not right here, right? I knew something wasn't right, but you can't just always go off of just, we know something's not right. We have to figure out what exactly it is that is incorrect here. Then I also decided to prod the narrative further. Another person gave us a tip and said, hey, did you know that there's literally someone who works at Caldera Engineering who is a professional actor? Like, no background in engineering, went to school for theater, worked in theater, was in plays, was involved in plays. I looked through everything, went through it. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Why is he suddenly at Caldera Engineering? Like, not later in life, just like randomly on his resume is Caldera Engineering. Why are they hiring gay actors? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm telling you guys what are the things that I have stumbled upon. Then somebody,
But see, that's not
and this was
that's not how you do it, Candace. You're literally putting a target on these people. Because I'm pretty sure the Candies have already figured out who the person is, and they're probably making that person's life a living hellscape. Man, this is embarrassing. I don't want to say this again, but I got to. I really hope these people are able to seek justice from her, because she's literally putting a target on these people's back over nothing. Just because they hired somebody. Maybe it's a secretary. Maybe they hired him to be the mail person. Maybe they hired him because he's the CEO's extramarital lover. Who cares? What's that got to do with Charlie Kirk? What's that got to do with anything? This is ridiculous. And if you don't know that answer, don't give that information. She done put three entities out there today already. And she doesn't have any problem with it. That's the part that's like, wait, really? You have no shame in saying something about a company that you know nothing about. And notice she still hasn't talked about Josh Hammer.
range. We have not been able to corroborate this. We can tell you the link was real and that but we don't know if the internet was scraping and got things incorrect. But there was an Israeli individual who was listed as the founder of Caldera Engineering. We obviously know that Caldera Engineering had said that they did projects according to their website in Israel. I don't know what projects they worked on. We weren't able to corroborate currently that individual is still working with the company. We don't know if this was accidental. Sometimes the internet can do some funny things and scrape and put information where it doesn't belong. This particular individual has a very long background in engineering in Israel. Maybe it's because they work together. And
out of this side of her mouth, she's saying what she's saying. And out of the other side of her mouth, she's going to say, I'm not implicating Israel in this at all.
The internet thought that this person was the founder and the individual was not. But it's piquing our interest now. We are confused, I would say, at best, about this company, because when we wanted to go back and just determine who the founders were, well, just our bad luck. A company was established in 1997, so you won't be able to get those formation LLC docs. You can find LLC docs in general, but they didn't start digitizing those until the early 2000s, so you're not going to get anything where you're going to be able to see the actual formation docs. You can see changes they made in the early 2000s.
So because the company started in 1997, so roughly 28 years ago, what's that got to do with Charlie Kirk dying 4 weeks ago? Yeah, this is embarrassing. And I do think it's interesting. Again, notice the language change. When she needs the Candies to buy in to what she's talking about, she uses inclusive language like we, ours, and us. But when she's going in, it's my, I, and me. I just think that's very interesting. All right, this is embarrassing.
You can see who the manager or the president, all of that stuff we found. But I would love to find those base formation docs. And in order to get them, you have to go in person somewhere. And I am certain I'm not going to be able to get my hands on that. Something else that was really interesting as I was looking into Caldera Engineering was that they opted to, in their very early years of their company, use a lawyer
Oh my
for trademark
gosh.
purposes down in Arizona, right?
Gosh.
And I'm looking at these early documents, and I'm like, wait a second, I know this lawyer. This lawyer was introduced to me by Tyler Boyer at Turning Point USA. I've worked with this lawyer. I've paid this lawyer. This is crazy. So what is the pipeline between Utah and Phoenix? I don't know. You can use a lawyer anywhere, but when you're formulating your company, maybe it was a friend. I don't know. But I now have a ton of questions about Caldera Engineering. So if you have any information, or you're able to find anything about them, or maybe you are an engineer and you're like, I've been buying their valves actually for 20 years, actually, and they're fantastic. They work great. I'd like to hear from you. Again, more tips at CandaceOwens.com. All right, you guys, I'm going to...
All right, real quick. Y'all, man, I really hope that these people are able to get some form of retribution, because my goodness, in the morning, this is so reckless. This is not journalism. And we're going to talk to Joe Pags and ensure that we're not wrong. Real quick, shout out to Miss Manners. She said she sent me the Candy impersonation video. I have it over here. I do have some other videos I wanted to talk about, so we're going to try to salt and pepper it in for sure. Thank you so very much for that $5 super. Shout out to Lila Rose with the $70 super. You are the stream sponsor. Thank you so much. No comment, no question, as they like to say, for the pure love of the game. Thank you so much, Lila. I really appreciate you. Bless you for that. What does Marcone say here? Peace to you and yours, dear sir. I am a diabetic technician in the mental health field. Look into historic personality disorder, HPD. They are commonly known as drama queens. Thank you for the $10 super. And let me tell you something. I believe we have been watching a drama queen for quite some time. Thank you for that. And I agree. Histrionic personality disorder. Shout out to that. And that is definitely true. Emily, thank you again for the $10 super as well. Candace has also said that the rooftop shot was near impossible shot. As someone who hunts and has even basic knowledge about rifles, I can say as a hunter can, a 12-year-old could make that shot. Wow. Thank you so much, Emily. Look, I didn't even want to get into the ballistics argument about it, because I just think that that's muddy in the water. But again, I think Candace is taking this way too far. But God bless her, man, for sure. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you so much. Kaylee, I'm going to say Kaylee, hopefully I'm saying that right, with the $5. He took the camera down because people were already stealing hats and stuff off the table and didn't want the camera to be stolen in the confusion. Say word. And the reason they took the SD card is because even if they did steal the camera, the SD card is immeasurably valuable. They probably have insurance on their cameras. See? I agree with you. Thank you for that $5. And Lila Rose again, what did she say here? With a $13.99, I doubt Candace saw any footage from from the camera. I don't think she saw it. I'm sorry. I need to see I just don't believe her, because she keeps saying something different, because she has said that she didn't see it. And now, if she wants to say that she misspoke, then you got to give the grace to other people to misspeak. Now, if you're going to say, no, I really didn't see it, then, ma'am, you've been lying when you said that you saw it. One or the other or both. One or the other, but not both. See, I misspoke. Thank you so much, Lila, for that $13.99 as well. And then what does Cindy Lou Who say with the $5 super? She says this. Candace is just going to make her money and check into a mental hospital and demand forgiveness. Well, see, there you go. I mean, the argument is that she's doing all this to prove that she's not in a good state for the case against the Macrones. I mean, the case from the Macrones. I can see it. I don't know which one it'll be, but Hey, I think it does play a part. That's my angle. How about that? Thank you so much, Cindy Lou Who. I appreciate you. What does Harry 1922 say? He says this with the $10 super. She moves from one theory to another, knowing her cultists have memory retention of a goldfish. She overloads them with information, purposely making them paranoid of everything. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for that. And you're right. I mean, why else would she do this? Why else is she doing this? All of that information literally wear you out with all this information in the beginning about the valves, about bullet trajectory, all that kind of stuff. And now she's going to start talking about the email or the text message, the tweet from Josh Hammer. So while you're already tired, you're already into the second half of the game, now you're going to start talking about it. Okay. When that's what people wanted to hear from the beginning. Shout out for Gabriel. Thank you so much for the $5. Thank you for another great show. Thank y'all for a great show. Thank the mods. Y'all mods keep this thing going and flowing. Thank you so much. Stephanie Case says this with the $20 super. Keep exposing the grift. Love the live streams in the chat, fam. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all being a part of the best live chat on the internet. If you've already hit the like button, make sure you tell us what number you were. But make sure you get in there and chopping it up with everybody else. Let's go and see what Candace has got to say. Thank y'all so much for that. Let's see what we got. Here we go. Round 2. Let's go.
That never stops. It's just trains that are slowly moving as we get answers. And like I said, even that I've been sitting on for a while. I'm waiting for people to react, see what people say, because I need to know who's guilty. Of what, I don't know, but I need to watch people lie. Now, one area of conversation that I haven't said much about, but I want you to know we are still working on it, are the 2 planes that day, right? One of them being the plane that people have recognized is military. That's tail number N.
I'm not even being funny. You all, I am not being funny. I'm being so for real. I need prayer. I need prayer, y'all. I need you all to stretch your hand toward the camera and pray for me. I cannot believe this woman is going to start talking about some doggone planes that was flying in the air in Utah. I just cannot believe this. I can't believe this. When Josh Hammer gave her that work in that text message, she, instead of talking about the issue at hand, she is going to talk about, I forgot about the planes. Like, that was like on episode 9 of this craziness, right? She just all of a sudden starts talking about a plane, and you don't want, she is going to carry this out to the end. I almost want to skip. Because I don't care nothing about no planes. Bring it back in here, Jason. We are not rage quitting today, Jason. We're not doing that. Y'all, this is ridiculous. This is ignorant.
1098L. So this plane left from Texas, went over to Utah right about the time that Charlie got assassinated. It dipped real low. It seemed like who knows what this plane was being sent there for, but the fact that this plane had been used in the military rightfully alerted people to the fact that they may have had some knowledge. This plane may have had some knowledge of what was going to occur. But one thing I want to clarify for you is that that plane was being contracted. You guys noticed that it was owned by LaSalle Aviation LLC. We are awaiting more information, but I just wanted to let you know that if you recognize that, it is strange. It did happen. There's no question. I've been saying from the beginning, this was a military operation. It's very obvious. The more you peel back the onion, it is very obvious that this was a military operation. So it's fitting that you would have a plane that the military certainly uses. Who would contract that sort of plane? Now, this would be a very easy question for Kash Patel to answer. Hey, Kash Patel, most transparent ever, except when it comes to Epstein. What's up with this plane? Certainly, you have knowledge of who contracted this plane. The answer, if you're being transparent, is going to be like, oh, just a coincidence. Just a coincidence. Somebody decided to take a vacation flight from Texas over Utah to do a little circle and return back home. It happens all the time. When you're bored and you just have an unbelievable amount of money, that's what you do. We're not going to get those answers from Kash Patel about that plane. We're not even getting straight answers about the other plane. That's the plane where Derek Maxfield, his wife Shalane Maxfield, they sold some beauty company for billions.
What does that got to do with anything? Yo, do you realize, man, she's basically effectively giving people's addresses at this point. I mean, y'all, again, this is doxing on a whole nother level. She done put this plane out there. She about to give these people, however, for whatever reason, they own a plane. Or they got in a plane. Could they be surveying some land? I mean, come on. This is so reckless. That's what it is. Candaspiracy is reckless. This is not journalism, y'all. I feel bad for these people, man. This is crazy work that we're watching. We are watching some crazy work in 4K.
I believe, and they now just run a human sex trafficking organization in Utah. That was that plane. I can't remember. 888 is what I actually.
Wait, hold on.
Maxfield, his wife Shalane Maxfield, they sold some beauty company for billions, I believe, and they now just run a human sex trafficking organization in Utah. That was that plane. I can't remember. 888 is what I actually remember. And it seemed as though that plane left. It went to Page, Arizona, and it appeared that the ADSB transponder turned off. Now, what Kash Patel told us is different from what Derek Maxfield told us. Derek Maxfield on Instagram clarified that the Air Traffic Control Center was in agreement with them that they could stop transponding. Kash Patel says that plane never stopped transponding. So I don't know what the truth is, and I'm not even pretending that we're ever going to get the truth. What I can tell you is that the investigation that we have been privately conducting has led to more questions than answers. Obviously, multiple pilots, people that work at these airports, people who are invested in this story have reached out, and I'm grateful for that. Multiple people have confirmed that this plane was a little bit weird that day. It was supposed to land in Page, Arizona, in Millionaire FBO. Last second, it made a change. Just so you guys know, an FBO is just a private terminal. So if you're in a public airport, you go to Terminal 7. If you're flying private, you go to FBO, and it has a name. So that plane was supposed to land into an FBO called Millionaire. Last second, that plane decided to change and say, we are going to instead land into Signature, a different FBO. Apparently it landed into Signature. That's certainly what we were told, but there's something off about that, because when people are trying to look into it, somebody at that FBO at first said, oh yes, you've made multiple trips in the last couple of days. And then that person said, I don't know what you're talking about. No plane ever landed here. What? Multiple people have confirmed this for me, that there's something very unusual about this flight.
So I really believe that if you are a child and used to like create your own adventure stories, I really believe that Candace is doing that, and she's just creating this story, and she just keeps bringing more pages to the story and more chapters and more. If you want to see what happens here, go to page 9. If she gets away, go to page 37. And I think she just keeps inserting new chapters into the book, and it just gets more and more muddy. That's why these the candies are like this, because my goodness, in the morning, this is going crazy. And please understand, she still hasn't talked about Josh Hammer. Just remember that.
Information about this flight, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't like that we've got feds guarding like FBO information. We've got feds guarding Dairy Queens. I don't know. Do you need your ice cream guarded? What is going on? Like, guys, you gotta just give up. It's gonna come out. Whatever it is gonna come out. You would have to, and I wouldn't put it past you, you'd have to get rid of all of us. You got like 7 billion people you've got to ethnically cleanse right now. If you wanted to just forget about the Charlie Kirk story, no one's forgetting it, okay? Not the ballistics guys on YouTube that we're all listening to. And no one's gonna let this one go, because, and by the way, that's your fault. I don't know whose sadistic idea it was to make this a public execution. But let me tell you where you made the mistake, okay? In 1963, when JFK was shot, people didn't watch it on TikTok. People mostly read about it, and then the feds lied about it, and they heard about it. But to be able to have us watch that live around the world, you traumatized all of us. And not in the way that you meant to. You meant to traumatize us and maybe and make us fearful and scared. And yeah, that happened. Then you made us really angry that corruption is allowed to be like this, just so blatant and so in our face, looking at us as if we're nothing. And what are you going to do about it? That's the attitude. What are you going to do about it? You wanted to traumatize us and then to, on a dime, flip and look us in the face and go, how dare you ask questions? People are grieving. Yeah, we're grieving.
And now she's threatening the FBI or whomever. And she still hasn't talked about Josh Hammer. I just want to make sure we have that right. Josh Hammer has not entered the chat yet.
Because you assassinated Charlie Kirk in front of the entire world. If you had pretended he slipped and fell on some ice in the winter, maybe you wouldn't have this response. But you got our attention because you went after our attention. You wanted this for whatever sadistic reason. You wanted this to be a public execution, and that disturbs me. So you get what you get, okay? This is the internet generation. You get TikTokers that are asking questions. You get our military guys. You get our ballistic boys. You get the TikTok medium psychic ladies. You get everybody. All of us are here, okay?
So the next time somebody comes to me and says, hey, man, Jason, you're misrepresenting her, that Candace is a Christian. You heard her say the TikTok psychic medium people. She keeps telling y'all this, and she's saying it in 4K. You're hearing her say in full audio that she is willing to consult with a medium or a psychic. I just want you to, I'm going to back that up a little smidgen because maybe you think I'm making that up.
You went after our attention. You wanted this for whatever sadistic reason. You wanted this to be a public execution, and that disturbs me. So you get what you get, okay? This is the internet generation. You get TikTokers that are asking questions. You get our military guys. You get our ballistic boys. You get the TikTok medium psychic ladies. You get everybody. All of us are here, okay? So it's like a high school class. You got all different types of characters here, but we're running this.
Oh, it's like a high school class. Now, that is probably the most truthful thing you've said all night, Candaspiracy. It is like a high school class. That's for sure.
Okay, we're running this.
You're running this.
We're not going to be nice to any substitute teachers that you try to throw in there and try to calm down. Nope, we're not doing that. Okay, we're not calming down. We're pretty upset, and we're going to stay upset. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm going to tell you guys also an update about Josh Hammer.
Here we go.
He's an idiot. He really is an idiot. First and foremost, just funny. I should have pulled it up. He also brought up his book. He issued a statement about the retreat weekend. Josh Hammer just lies through his teeth all the time. And so he was releasing a statement about how wonderful the Hamptons retreat was and that him and Seth Dillon totally did not press Charlie on anything. And in this public statement, he mentioned his book again. He said, like, I came to the Hamptons because Charlie wanted me to bring signed copies of my book. I mean, wacky. This man, it's always appropriate if you're Josh Hammer to promote your book, which is just amazing. Anyways, his response yesterday.
Okay, fine. His response yesterday. We need his response today is what we need. Today. All right. Yeah, okay, the book thing, I will give you that. But whatever.
Today, to our episode was to release text messages between him and Charlie following the call. Great. It lets us know that the call happened at the exact same time that we figured it would actually happen in our timeline, that it had to have been an evening call before he tweeted public execution in this 3-hour window. But these are the messages. We should read them. Mm-hmm. Charlie Kirk, thank you for your help, guys. Like totally standard response that you say no matter what. Exclamation point. And then I assume this is Josh Hammer that replies and says, good luck at the campus visit start. Don't hesitate to let me know or any of us.
Wait, hold on. Candace can't read. Like, look, I mess it up too. She tries to make it sound like she adds a tone to it to make it sound like the guy is a buffoon. Read what it says and listen to Candace as you read it.
In this 3-hour window. But these are the messages. We should read them. Charlie Kirk, thank you for your help, guys. Like totally standard response that you say no matter what. Exclamation point. And then I assume this is Josh Hammer that replies and says, good luck at the campus visit start. Don't hesitate to.
It says as, Candace. I mean, I don't have my glasses on, but the word is as. So as the campus visit starts, don't hesitate to let me know or any of us know how I/we can help. What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? That's it.
Let me know or any of us know how we can help. What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? And I felt like that was weird because I feel like his whole story was that Charlie.
So instead of dealing with what is actually reading the whole text, let me back it up. Let me read it up just in case you had not read Josh Hammer's reply. And then the next one, I think, is probably the rabbi. I think his name is Wolicki. Honored to be of assistance. And this is almost an hour later. Charlie Kirk says, Utah Valley U with a thumbs up. That's about 11:30-ish, 11:26 to be exact, with a thumbs up. And then I'm assuming again as rabbi, say hi to your Antifa friends, 11:40 p.m., Charlie Kirk with what we call the prayer hands, okay? So that's the whole thing. She's going to get lost in the weeds about the fact of him saying, what's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? So apparently, because Josh Hammer said, what's your first stop, by the way, that means that he was in the plane, riding in the plane, jumped into the Caldera valves, and took out Charlie Kirk. But I'm wondering, will she read his actual text message?
What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? And I felt like that was weird because I feel like his whole story was that Charlie was reaching out to him because he wanted help to strengthen his debate. He needed tips on how to, because he just loved Israel so hard that he was like, give me the best talking points so I can go out there and I can defend this state. And I know that like a couple hours ago, I was really angry. And I said, I'm done with the pro-Israel lobby, but now I just love you so much that I want to get on the phone with you and have you, who could not beat me in a debate, teach me how to debate. That's what he told us. So we're supposed to believe that he didn't know where Charlie was debating, but that was what the call was about. I don't know. I feel like you would maybe know, and that may have come up in a call where you were prepping for his debate tomorrow.
He doesn't say, and I think it's interesting, Candace doesn't read what Josh Hammer actually wrote. She reads the text message, sure. I don't think she reads what he said because he's not prepping him for debate. He's actually asking questions to make sure he's able to answer the tough questions that he knows he's going to get a lot of. Maybe I'll pull up Josh Hammer's text if she doesn't read it.
Where exactly it was that he was debating tomorrow. I don't know anything other than that Josh Hammer is an idiot who can't be trusted and lies through his teeth. I do want to get to speaking on the topic of Israel. There was a very good video that.
Wow.
Actually, let's first talk about the Israel and Hamas peace deal that they're trying to shove down our throats. Now, if you're reading the headlines, a peace agreement is what we're calling it, has been reached between Israel and Hamas. Oh my gosh, because they decided that there's going to be phases and Israel is going to partially withdraw its troops from Gaza and Hamas is going to release the remaining hostages. And this is, of course, after everything that happened on October 7th. Don't forget about October 7th. And yeah.
Okay, I am interested in the peace deal, but I'm also interested in Candace being duplicitous. If you've not been paying attention, of course, we've been waiting for the text message from Josh, and all she read was the same thing that we are already seeing, which Josh uploaded. But he actually tweeted, I think, which was very valid, I think it's very valid, the explanation behind why he did this, why they had this meeting. So real quick, I'm gonna pull this in because I just think it helps. And it is super. All right, just real quick. And I did do a video earlier today about this, but real quick, I've been extremely reluctant to post screenshots. Make this bigger for everybody. Yes, I've been extremely reluctant to post screenshots from a murdered friend. It feels icky, but I don't like it. But while I was offline this week for a holiday, shout out to everybody that mentioned it yesterday that she probably posted this thing about Josh, the quote unquote text message, because she knew that he was on holiday. And that's what he said. A high profile, deeply unwell lunatic used screenshots of an intimate group chat I was in with Charlie Kirk and some others to impugn my character in the worst way and allege I somehow had foreknowledge or worse of my own friend's horrific assassination. In those screenshots from 3:30 to 4 p.m. ETD, the day before he was killed, Charlie was blowing off steam in a private group chat setting. Donors have every right to withhold donations, and organization CEOs, chairmen have every right to then be upset when donors withhold their donations. That is just the nature of donors and donees in the not-for-profit space. As I've previously explained in Newsweek here, the notion that Charlie Kirk was turning on his career-long friendship with Jewish people and the Jewish state of Israel, as opposed to sarcastically blowing off steam in a private group chat setting, is an egregious lie and is belied by the facts. 2 hours after Charlie blew off steam in that chat, I joined a Zoom call with him and with a few others. The New York Post covered the Zoom call shortly after Charlie's death. In short, Charlie sought out our advice for how to better communicate the Israel issues on campus as to be most effective with the younger Gen Z audience. Charlie was passionate about fighting the mind virus of conspiratorial Jew hatred, something he made clear over and over and over again. So again, here it's pretty clear what Charlie was doing and what the purpose of the call was. But let us continue. The final ever message Charlie sent in the WhatsApp chat, which were delivered hours after the deeply out of context screenshots that the aforementioned lunatic and others have been discussing this week, make clear that Charlie was deeply grateful for our help. After our call, he felt more confident and reassured that he could make the case for the Jewish people and for Israel on college campuses. These are literally Charlie's final messages in that WhatsApp chat. Emotions can run high at times, but Charlie Kirk remained a true friend to the Jewish people and the Jewish state to the very end. And there's the messages right there. All right. So I just wanted to read that real quick because Candace just kind of breezed over. I guess it doesn't matter that much to her. I mean, it seemed like it was a big deal to call Josh Hammer an idiot. And I don't know his academic prowess. I don't know how smart he is, but it does seem like, hey, if you want to prove that he's an idiot, maybe you should really parse through what he said here. But I digress. Let's go.
Yeah, like hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are missing. And yeah, they have destroyed 85% of Gaza. And they're going to try to tell us that we've reached peace. At the center of it was Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. They arrived on Wednesday morning to represent the U.S. negotiators from Israel, and Hamas and the mediators from Qatar and Egypt and Turkey also participated. And we're supposed to go, wow, that's amazing. Trump put a statement out on Truth Social. He wrote, I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace that all parties will be treated fairly. I can't even finish it because it makes me sick that they think we're this dumb. 85% of Gaza has been destroyed in this pre-planned, controlled demolition of Gaza. Bibi Netanyahu is on camera explicitly before October 7th saying we need to hit them so hard that they can't come back. Jared Kushner is involved in, he will financially benefit from whatever they build in its place. Again, all of this began before October 7th, right? So we are supposed to believe that this isn't just, well, business as usual. We got done what we needed to get done, and now we can begin phase two. But we're supposed to thank them. We're supposed to thank the monsters that did this. You guys have it in your heart to say thank you? Thank you to Jared Kushner and Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, who are just business partners playing a role, convinced that we're all so stupid. I mean, let's roll the clip back from Jared Kushner when he sat down at Harvard, Mossad operation, to speak about their aim. This is February 15th, 2024. Take a listen.
There are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, like, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war, right? You had tribes that were in different places, but then Gaza became a thing. Egypt, used to run it. And then, over time, you had different governments that came in different ways. So you have another war, usually when wars happen, borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. And Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterwards.
And Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, for the planned ethnic cleansing so that they could profit on the land and turn it into a beach town. So let me say this. This is our never again, okay? This is a Holocaust. A Holocaust just happened. A real Holocaust just happened. We will never forget this. You need to tell your children what happened in Gaza. You need to tell them exactly who did it, exactly whose families were involved in this. And when you hear in the future somebody tell you, like, we're going to Gaza Beach for a vacation, you need to look at them like they are the absolute vermin of our society, because they are. They are. Their children will be cursed, okay? If you go and you play in the sand where you know that your forefathers planned to mass murder children, you will be cursed. Every person who steps foot on that, every family that is set to inherit what they did, they will be cursed. Your children's children will be cursed. Gaza belongs to nobody but the Palestinians. So when you begin to move the Israelis in there, and when the Trump Hotel gets built on there, I caution the rest of the world to stay far away from that cursed land, because something is coming. You can't commit that much evil in broad daylight and not think it's going to come back to haunt you. Anyways, God bless. May he get his Nobel Peace Prize. Sticking with that point, obviously, I was looking to see what people thought about the text messages, and it was really funny. I came across a clip of Matt Walsh, who I adore. It's very funny. And he was saying about the Charlie Kirk messages, he actually thought they were fake because he said he couldn't believe the sentence that felt too on the nose. He's like, I genuinely thought that there's no way Charlie would ever leave the pro-Israel lobby. First and foremost, his support for Israel, he loved it so much. So it's like, you must have done a lot to make him actually write that statement, which felt too on the nose to Matt Walsh in that text message. I have no choice but to lead the pro-Israel cause. And anyways, he gave some very sage advice, which is not going to be heeded by the Josh Hammers of the world, about what that really means, that your behavior pushed even Charlie Kirk away. Take a listen to what Matt Walsh had to say.
And at some point, if you're on the pro-Israel side, you really need to be honest with yourself and engage in some actual honest self-reflection and self-analysis. You really do. Because you're losing the argument. I mean, you're just losing it. You are. And I've never seen any side of any argument lose this much support this quickly. I can't think of any other example of something like this. And if you're on that side, you need to have the courage and humility to ask yourself what you're doing wrong.
It's never too late to say Kanye was right. Never too late. And I'd like to say that Kanye was right. It's behavior. It's how they treat people. It's statements like that, like just pretending like we're just making things better when we do an ethnic cleansing that was pre-planned. We're just better. We should get a peace prize. It's coming to an end. You can feel it. Like I said, unless they've got a plan, and maybe they do, to kill 7 billion people, our memory will not allow them to just move along from what happened here, a true evil. Anyways, before I get to some of your comments, I see that we are almost up on an hour. Go to some more of our sponsors. Pure Talk.
So I just think it's interesting. I'm going to let her do her ad read. I do want to shout out. Thank y'all so much for the very kind supers right here. All right. I caught up. Pride goes before the fall. Sammy says with the $5 super, goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before the fall. Candace is full of narcissistic pride. And I cannot disagree. With the $2 says, relax, Jack. Relax, Jack. We got this. In a couple of years, there will be documentaries, I think you're saying, about Candace. Oh, no question about it. The woman that thought she was going to be queen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to Macron again. With Marchon again. Marchon. With the $5 says this. I'm like number 168. Hit the like button, folks. I speculate that she's trying to link Erica in some kind of sick plot. I totally believe that. I totally believe that. It'll happen. It'll happen. Because she's going to be on Twitter while she's on break for the next 2 weeks. So we will have a lot to do then. Anyway, what we got here? Thank you, TFCS, with the $2. Did you see Dr. G explain video on Candace today? Oh, is that the body language guy? Or Dr. G? I don't know exactly. I didn't see it. Clearly, I think we all know I didn't see it. But I like Dr. G. If that's who I'm thinking about, I like him. Hold on. And, oh, no, this is all different. Ooh, dog, man, I got a lot. Man, I'm lining them up. Man, we got to start tomorrow. We might stay up late tonight, one way or another. Janae says this with the $10. She says, thanks for covering this mess. It's just kind of wild, man. So I'm glad y'all are enjoying it, though. Thank y'all for tapping in. And then Black Sigma, thank you with the $5 super. Hey, Jay, nice, rather new to the show, but curious question. What is up with Candace and the wearing the CIA hat? So she has she calls her group the Candace Intelligence Agency, so CIA. I don't agree with that, but that's what it is. That's her branding, if you will. So, I mean, she's worn the shirt. She has a shirt that says it, all that kind of stuff. So that's where it is, Black Sigma. And, I mean, that's Candace, man. Candace wild, man. She's wild. It's wild in these streets. Let's see what she got. We're going to get out of these commercial ad reads. Wow. So really, Josh Hammer only got like 4 minutes.
That supports this country, and you'll see results yourself. Again, NIMI skincare.com, promo code Candace10 for 10% off. All right, guys, what is on your mind? Giving you a lot of information. More to come.
Yeah, flood them with information. Flood them with it.
We have Petra Lab. She writes, Candace is the real Liam Neeson in the movie Taken, has particular skills like smelling out lies, knows the authorities are not trustworthy, and is determined to find out who betrayed Charlie. Liam would not trust the authorities to find his daughters. Keep going, Candace. Yeah, you got to be just insane to trust the authorities. As soon as somebody says, we're just trusting the authorities, suspect on the list. What do you mean we're trusting the feds? Like, since when are we doing that? Mary Go Wrong writes, that's very funny. Mary Go Wrong. Keep speaking the truth, Candace. Thank you so much. Julie G writes, I've been spending a couple of hours a day defending you on X, and I'm truly honored to have done so. They've gone a little quieter over the last few days. The special bond that you shared with Charlie is evident for all to see in many videos of you both. Truth will prevail. Thank you, Julie, so much. Also, don't waste your time. In case you don't know, there's like military bot farms on X, which sucks, but that is the reality. And so you're not even fighting with real people. So they dominate on X, not so much on Facebook. There's a bit more real people. And then
Darn it, man, I was cooking too. Let me make sure I got this right. Because I put wackadoodle crazy theories out there and people push back on said crazy theories on X and Twitter and such like that, that means they're military bot farms, right? Man, this is crazy work, y'all. It's crazy work. Am I muted still? No, green hearts in the chat when you can hear me. Don't make me have to cook again. Can I cook twice? Okay. Yeah, like why is it got to be military bot farms? Now, I'm not saying that there's not bad actors. I know there's bots on the social streets. I got you. I understand that. But really, like, Candace, you're that important? I think you're that important to Candace. But I do think it's interesting that that woman says she spends several hours a day defending Candace Owens. That's got to, you stop and think about what you just said. You spend several hours a day defending Candace Owens on X. Does that seem healthy to you? Is that the most healthy thing that you could do? Is defending Candace Owens on Twitter for 2 hours, 120 minutes. You're not going to get that time back. I'm just wondering. I mean, that's nasty work. That's just nasty work. I can't understand. Yeah, that's insane. Let's let her finish up. Let's go.
Instagram, there's more real people, but they do have bot farms there too. Radical Rat writes, thank you very much for that donation. Hi, American Muslim fan here. In the spirit of friendship between our faiths, here is an excerpt from the Quran about Jesus, who, speaking as a baby to defend Mary's honor, said, I am the servant of God. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet, and he has made me blessed wherever I am. God is my Lord and your Lord.
There's no way I would be reading a Quranic verse.
Are realizing the tremendous need for true faith right now.
There's no way in the world I would be reading a Quranic verse. I'm sorry. There's just no way. There's just no way. Like, wait up. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up.
And I had sort of tweeted a couple of days ago that you can sense a chink in the armor of deception. Like, we're learning a lot about how a lot of money has been put behind these Judeo-Christian programs, which was something that I would speak about with Charlie, because he was, in fact, very interested in Catholicism. And so it is interesting to see that. I do think the evangelical community is feeling that. And let me know if you agree, that people are starting to wonder, like, why does my pastor? And again, it's not every pastor, but it's too many pastors get up on a stage and preach about Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson. That is leading to broader questions. And I think in the end, all of this is good. Like, the topic of faith being at the forefront of our minds worldwide is good. A Sisters writes, keep it up, Candace. It's people like you that are the hope.
But strong faith in a weak bridge will not get you to eternity. Weak faith in a strong bridge will. Islam is a weak bridge. Dare I say, a bridge that's rotted out. Like, why would you even give that admonishment as if that is a true faith? It's not.
For these two little girls in this picture, God bless you and keep you safe. Praying for you and your team with love from East Texas. Thank you so much. 8 Birds writes, the more I listen to Candace Owens, the more I want her to be crazy. And the more that people tell me she's crazy, the more I want to listen to her. Thank you so much. Our government is crazy. And the rest of us are obviously
Are you not?
that and are therefore being called crazy. If you read about the history of Sigmund Freud, book in my book club. If you can't join the book club, that's fine. You should read The Assault on Truth to understand what sorts of lies these people are capable of telling, and why what they do is they always accuse you of being crazy when you find out what they're lying about. They have been doing this for a very long time. Candace, it came from behind. You haven't been investigating on Elon's platform enough. I can tell you definitively that Charlie's shot did not come from behind. You take that or leave that. You can still go down that narrative. You can think that you saw that. I'm not saying that a shot wasn't fired from behind. I'm not saying that. Like I said, I've given you my theory. I think there's two shooters. The entry wound is what is on the front. The bullet did not exit. You are looking for a smaller gun altogether, which is how these operations have to work. You got to have multiple things going on. It's designed to drive you crazy. And that is why I'm trying to focus investigations. And, I hope you guys trust me enough to know that I went through great hoops, I had to confirm it the right way, and I did not trust the feds. Brennan Gerby writes, I have watched every episode that you have ever done, even before the DW days. You are the best friend anyone could ask for. Charlie is lucky. Side note, wishing your kids luck when they try to sneak out as teens. They're not getting anything past you. You have not met my daughter. It's unbelievable. That girl had me putting her hair into pigtails the other night because she couldn't go to sleep, and she came downstairs. She said she just wanted to look cute. It's a ridiculous reason. It's not true. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing she said made sense. And there I was putting her hair into pigtails at 9:00 p.m., well past her bedtime, because she just wanted to look cute. So toddlers have a way of avoiding bedtime, and it's expert. It is expert level. Born to Free writes, Candace, I have been a fan since 2018. Finally got my wife on board last year. She's now in your book club and a loyal fan, and we never miss an episode. We love you so much. Christ is King. Tell her thank you. We're definitely a bit wild in the book club. Book club gets, we go there. We go there for sure. But it's fun. It's very chill. And you know that people are ready because they've read the book. So you're kind of able to push a little bit faster, I would say, on getting people to recognize just how evil things can get. And that's why I say read The Assault on Truth, confront that, and then everything will start to make sense. Because you're going to go, how the hell have our public school systems across the world been telling us that Sigmund Freud was like a wonderful man? Like, insane. Brittany Schofield, lastly, she writes, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I homeschool our 6 children. I am so glad to see that you started homeschooling your children. We don't live a fancy lifestyle. My husband has to work his butt off, but it is so worth it. The value that it has already added to my life in just 2 weeks, and the happiness of just not racing your kids out the door, but actually structuring things and realizing they're going to learn, and how funny it is they are literally removing joy from our home and taking that joy and turning our kids into unhappy, miserable creatures that question, our parents are awful and they're woke. And by the time, by the time your kid gets through, obviously, the school system and through college, go, what happened? And what happened is that we gave up our blessed resource. We just gave it to the system. It's so wrong. And I gotta tell you, it's working. So many moms are pulling their kids out that they're now trying to pass laws against homeschooling. That's amazing. I mean, it's not amazing they're trying to pass laws, but it's amazing that they're feeling the pressure.
They've been doing this for years. And if you don't know, shout out to everybody, to the best live chat on the internet. 622 folk are tapped in. I'm a former school teacher. I'm aware of homeschooling. Homeschooling laws, and they're trying to stop homeschooling, has been around forever. It's not because you started some quote unquote movement, Candace. It's been going on forever. I don't know if you're really going to stick with this or you're going to roll out in a couple of years. We'll see. But that's not new. I mean, the public school, private school, charter school, homeschool argument and battle has been going on, and it'll continue. Like, stop acting like you're brand new to this.
Which I will speak about more, obviously, in the weeks to come, and exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. We're still figuring this thing out, but every day is a new adventure. And I hope that I inspire people to take the step. You will figure it out. Human beings are adaptable, and I can tell you it is way more rewarding. Anyways, you guys, I am going on vacation. Love you. Send me tips if you have them about the topics that we discussed today. Tips@CandaceOwens.com or more tips at CandaceOwens.com. I will obviously be lurking. I will be putting together more pieces. As I said, this investigation is ongoing, and I expect that when we get back, I'm going to have even more explosive revelations for you. You're absolutely doing this for Charlie Kirk. We will not forget. Okay, 9/10. We are not going to forget 9/10, least of all when it hasn't been solved. So if you'd like to support us, obviously, you can join our decentralized intelligence agency. It is.
We're not buying merch. That's interesting. I'm not trying to throw shade, but she just started homeschooling. She's just getting into the rhythm, or trying to get into the rhythm and the groove of homeschooling, and she's about to go on a 10-day vacation. Okay. Hey, she's going to be a gangster at it. She's going to crush it. Absolutely. Real quick, shout out to the last of these wonderful supers I might have missed. Kaylee says something to end on a positive note later. Would you take a look at Angel Studios' new David promo, please? And yes, you said it correctly before. I will definitely check it out. We got Joe Pags coming in. We got to clean the palate after we get done with this. We're going to have Joe come in and really help set us straight on this is not journalism, what we've been watching. But yes, thank you for the $5 super. And let's see real quick. Pretty Days 33 says this: Candace is an idiot. I can't stand her. Genocide in Nigeria and Congo, shaking my head. Candace doesn't care about that stuff. And mind you, the genocide in Nigeria and Congo are with actual Christians. So why does she not call them out? But she'll read an Islamic text on her screen, but she won't throw any support for them. It just seems odd, seems really weird. I just wonder why she's not interested in that. Because maybe she'd have to actually talk about who it is that's doing the genocide. Maybe that's why. Shout out to Black Sigma with the $5. Says this: based on her pattern of streaming, it seems that she is doing this to pay her legal bills against Mrs. Macron. Well, we talked about that yesterday. We looked at how much she's making on just this stream alone. And it's interesting. And I encourage y'all to go to playboard.co. Y'all can see how much she made today. I just dropped it in the chat as well, playboard.co. And it's very interesting how much she brings in each live stream. It is, you're not far off. Let me say it like that, Black Sigma. Shout out for that. Thank you so much. Macron says again, Candace is insufferable with the $5 super. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's a special type of person that can put up with this. Candace has ruined my friend's life. She had just gotten out of a bad marriage and was free. Discovered Candace and is terminally ill with breast cancer, fueled by Jew hatred and pushing everyone away. It hurts to see. Wow. Good gracious, man. I can totally see it, though. Thank you for the $10 super, Slayer Princess. I totally can see that this type of stuff is not joyful. I thought it was interesting that she talks about taking your kids to school is not joyful. I have a great time riding. My daughter drives to school every day, and I sit in the car and talk to her or do whatever. But it's fun to realize that this little person is now literally has my life in her hands, and she's doing a great job. I mean, that's amazing. What a blessing it is. So this stuff doesn't generate joy at all. I do want to bring in Joe Pags to clean the palate. And what I mean by that is, after watching Candace for a second, I think it's good to always get close to the end with somebody who actually makes sense. Because I don't think Candace makes any sense at all. And I mean that like sincerely, like respectfully, she makes no sense at all. She spent more time talking about those planes than she did talking about Josh Hammers dropping a hammer on her. She didn't even read his tweet. She just kind of theorized and hypothesized what happened in the text message that he posted. Like, you can't take her serious at this point. You really can't. But I want to bring I'm going to bring Joe Pags in because I think he will do a better job of adding some clarity. So let's bring this in. And who's Joe Pags, Jason? Thanks for asking. Joe Pags is a former radio host, talk show host, and now a podcaster. And he's been deep in journalism from the early days. He's been really crushing it. And he's been doing just an update on this about what Candace is doing and comparing it to what actual journalism looks like. So if you see Joe on Twitter, tell him I said, hey. If you see him on YouTube, give him a shout out and check out what he's doing because he's doing a great job. Let's go see what Joe's got to say. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear, my loves.
Candace Owens adds to the drama again. This time she puts out a post on X, almost called it a tweet. And in it, she talks about basically a bunch of people in a network that she has on the ready, should something happen to her, to release the real truth. So I'm confused. Why would you have to wait till something happens to her, and I don't want anything to happen to her, before this information can be released? If she has the goods, release it. Why would you only have it released if something happened to you? So if you stay safe, nobody ever gets to find out what you're calling the truth or the real information or whatever it is? By the way, I've never taken a dime from a nation state, certainly not from Israel, and I don't know Benjamin Netanyahu. So if you want to post that I'm getting money or getting paid, I'm not. You're defaming me. So let's get into this text that she put out, or this X tweet, this whatever the hell it is, that she put out, and what she says in it. Let's break it down logically and rationally. Keep in mind, she wants us to believe that she was very close friends with Charlie Kirk till the end. She hasn't released any text messages between the two of them, and Charlie texted all the time. I used to text with him. Hasn't talked about her relationship with Erica Kirk, who Charlie loved, or the children, Charlie's children, and the organization she seems to be throwing under the bus, the organization that Charlie co-founded. But here's what she posted on X. Expanding the network, Tate Brothers, Dave Smith, Max Blumenthal, Tucker Carlson, Mel, and then puts a name for Mel, and more, will have legal files and personal text messages related to my time at Turning Point, PragerU, Daily Wire, plus my private conversations with people like Seth Dillon and Dave Rubin. These people have my explicit permission to release everything publicly if anything happens to me. Charlie's death and the audacity of people like Josh Hammer eulogizing him means we must share all information and let the truth rise up like a lion. But only if something happens to her, I guess, which I don't want to have happen. I don't think anybody wants anything to happen to Candace Owens. So I put this out. Let's break down who these people are. You know who the Tate brothers are. You know who Dave Smith is, probably. He's a comedian that's been very pro-Gaza or Palestinian. Max Blumenthal, I don't know who that is. Tucker Carlson, we all know, and we mostly love Tucker Carlson, but we're not really sure what's going on there. I don't know who Mel is. And more are going to have legal files and personal text messages. Then she's dragging Turning Point, where she used to work. Then suddenly wasn't working there anymore. And PragerU, who she used to work with, and suddenly isn't working with them anymore. And the Daily Wire, where she used to work, and then was shown the door. So here's an ex-employee dragging three organizations where she used to work. And again, I want to go back to what I said in the very beginning. Oh, by the way, Josh Hammer is a lawyer. I've had him on a couple of times. I'm going to have him on again this week. I'll ask him explicitly about this. What's the story with you and Candace Owens? I'm going to ask him. And I think he'll answer. We're not friends, but he's been on the show a couple of times. Seems extremely smart and a nice enough guy. I'm going to ask him what this is all about. And by the way, Seth Dillon, he's the guy that started the Babylon Bee. Had him on the show plenty of times. Dave Rubin, he's somebody who has been on the conservative side for a long time. Had him on the show. I know these people. They're not close friends of mine, but they've been on my show. I've got their phone numbers. I can text with them. I'm confused as to why she's doing this. And again, let's go back to the initial assertion. If something happens to her,
right,
this stuff should be released. This stuff is so incendiary and so damaging and so insightful and so filled with truth that it can only be seen by people should something happen to her. I don't understand. It hasn't been a month since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. A disgusting day in our history. I feel so bad for him being gone at 31, a guy that I first had on my show when he was 24. I don't understand why she's doing this. In everything she says, even that made-up story about how he wanted her back at TPUSA and he conveniently took a bullet to the throat, she said, before that reunion could happen on stage. It's not what he said at all. What he said was, I'm thinking about inviting Candace. Nothing about I want. And then she makes this weird correlation between his death and the fact that he wanted her back, which is not what he said. But even with that, what is she doing? Does she not care at all about his wife, about his kids, about his organization? And if this stuff is so important and she fears for her life, because she's really making his assassination about her, which is very weird. But if she really believes that her life is in danger and is threatened because of all the information she has and could uncover, go to the authorities, man. I don't want anything to happen to her. I don't think any of you want anything to happen to her. If you really fear like that, go right now. Talk to Cash at FBI. She probably can. I've got his number. She probably has it too. Talk to Dan over at FBI. Talk to Ratcliffe at CIA. But no. Those of you who really do like what she's doing and you believe what she's saying, your response to me is going to be, well, they're all in on it. It's not possible, man. The Babylon Bee guy is in on it? Really? The Daily Wire, PragerU, TPUSA, Erica Kirk, her family, the thousands and thousands of people that are involved in this organization.
Yep. That's what
it's
she wants
starting
us
to
to
look a
believe.
lot like the Tea Party back in the day. Remember the Tea Party in 2009? Everybody was all for one for all. Taxed enough already. TEA, taxed enough already. I was at a rally at Alamo Plaza here in San Antonio. Glenn Beck was there, and Janine Turner was there, and Ted Nugent was there. We all had this great get-together, and the Tea Party movement fizzled in a couple of years' time. Is that what she wants to happen at TPUSA? Because now is the time where Charlie's movement can become a revolution. And for some reason, she wants to get in the way of that. Hey, Candace, it's not about you. Candace, if they feared you so much because of what you knew about all these organizations, and if your life is at risk because of what you say you know.
Okay, so let this simmer, because I'm going to back up a little second, because Joe, every episode, Joe drops one that is just like amazing. And this right here is example number, I don't know how many. But Joe right here, I mean, he has his finger on the pulse. He understands the assignment. So real quick, I'm going to let him tease it out again.
Organizations. And if your life is at risk because of what you say you know and what you can release, why did they take him out and leave you alone if you were the big threat? Keep in mind, Tucker Carlson, who she names here, who is calling out Israel, and he can if he wants. He's an American. I have no problem with him calling out anybody he wants. I disagree with him, but he calls them out. Why was he able to speak at Charlie Kirk's memorial, where she has sort of alluded to the fact that she wouldn't have felt safe there? But the president was safe, and the vice president was safe, and Tucker was safe, and the Secretary of State was safe, and Erica Kirk was safe. But she would not have been safe. Now listen, if you think I'm being irrational, and she's not making it about her, tell me. Because I've seen people I like in my timeline post what she's been saying. In fact, I got this actual screenshot of her X message from somebody that follows me and I follow them. I was like, why are you putting this out there? Are you really buying what she's laying down?
Picking up what she's throwing down.
Text, she was right. Charlie did have concerns about losing all this money from Jewish donors and about the Israel narrative. He never said, I want Candace back. And he was taken out before they could be reunited. She was wrong about that. Wrong about the Bibi letter. Wrong about the get-together in the Hamptons and where it was and what was said in text messages. But
yeah, that was the other one. That was the other one. What happened in the Hamptons. When the text message came out about what actually happened in the Hamptons and people who were there corroborating it, they didn't say anything like what she said. And she just tripled down and pretended like it didn't even happen. That's the other one. So we got the infamous BB letter, what happened in the Hamptons, Josh Hammers. Whenever she gets chastised, whenever she gets corrected, she doesn't answer it. She just kind of does a Heisman, tries to go in another direction. Okay, let's finish up.
Every day like a soap opera, dumps another hour, 2 hours online, 2, 3, 4 million views, and you have that many people watching it, and the way she delivers it is expert. A lot of people believe it. Do you? Did what I just said make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Am I being rational and logical, or am I somehow wrong and she somehow is right? Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you share this around everywhere. I want to hear from everybody on this. You tell me what's going on. Come on.
All right. I believe I left the link to that in the chat. I'm sorry, in the description. But just in case, I want to drop it in there because I want y'all to go check out Joe. He does great work, man. Shout out to him. And shout out to these supers, man. What do we got here? Thank you, Slayer Princesses. Thank you for calling out Candace's lies and biases. I mean, again, I have no problem with you asking questions because people like to say, oh, you don't want people asking questions. No, ask questions. Ask questions. but be reasonable. Like, come on, think about certain things. This is an active investigation. Do you think that you would get all the information before the trial? That doesn't make sense. Okay, let's keep it going. Thank you so much for that. And then again, Cat K says this: I wish she would answer truthfully what Charlie would think about the way she's conducting her investigation. So glad I found this channel. I'm glad you found it as well. Personally, I would not ask Candace what she thinks Charlie would do, because she might go into a trance and start channeling Charlie. I mean, I can't think of any other way to, I mean, she's going to say Charlie would love it. Charlie would be all about it. That's what she's going to say. And I thoroughly disagree, but hey, maybe he would think it's great. Maybe he think it's wonderful. I don't think so, but that's my 2 cents. But thank you for the $5 super for sure. What does this say? Elkie says with the $2, Candace Owens is nasty. Ruben gave her a leg up years ago. And everybody who's given her a hand up, everybody who's helped her elevate her career, push her platform, notice she now is at odds with them. And the only people that, it just seems odd, maybe I could be wrong, the only people she sides with are people who are anti-Israel. That's their commonality. They themselves are anti-Israel. What about people who are anti, gang warfare in Chicago? What about people who are anti these high gas prices? Trump, where are these gas prices at, my guy? What's going on? But what about them? Why is everybody that she rocks with anti-Israel? Because again, Israel is not a punctuation mark. It's not a punctuation mark. You don't have to end every sentence with Israel. You could literally be worried about and minding your own business. You do not have to be worried about what's going on in Israel 9.5 time zones away. You don't have to. I'm giving you permission to worry about what's going on around your own doorstep before you worry about what's going on 9 time zones away in a place that most of us are never going to go to. I'm just saying. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. All right. This is a soap opera. I agree. Like, this is coming across. This is giving docudrama. Okay. I'd want to say, like, this is like a bad Tyler Perry film at this point. And it makes no sense. They're always lurking. Them conspiracy theorists look, Candace is giving conspiracy theorists a bad name. I feel bad for conspiracy theorists because they're like, look, like, what do? We just out here believing that the earth is flat and dinosaurs came from Mars. Like, we out here just being weird. Candace made them all look uber weird with a side of crazy. So, I mean, we're going to have to check on our conspiracy theorists because they don't know what to do now. Like, what are we? Because we don't want to rock with that. She ruined it for us. Okay, I had planned, some people said I should watch the video by Frank Turek, but I wasn't certain which one. He's got a couple of them that look like they might be the ones, and I wasn't certain which ones. So I'm going to hold off on the Frank Turek. Because, like, I see one about a second shooter. I see one about what's next for TPUSA, and another one. There was another one. So I'm going to save that, and we can do that one tomorrow, I promise. But the body language one, I do have that one as well. If y'all are good with that, we can do that. I did leave in the chat the Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro interview, as well as the interview with the pastor that Candace called out the other day. Remember that pastor that was talking about Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens? And she called him out, and I said, I found the church. I didn't put it out there, but a member of the church actually did I guess this guy is a member of the church, did a interview with the pastor. So I'm going to leave that in the chat as well. So we're going to check out this body language, then I'm going to get out of here because Lady Dear Will Christian has cooked something to eat. And I want to know what it is because your boy is hungry. So let me pull this in. I do think this will be interesting. So this is the body language gentleman, Dr. G Explains. And I've not seen this. Hopefully it's good on the language. And let me bring it in so we can all check it out. Because from the thumbnail, it looks like it's going to be interesting. So let's go. Shout out to everybody who's in the best live chat. Is there another live? There's a video at 9. Somebody was asking. No, it's a premiere of a video. I'm gonna get out of here before then. I promise you that.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm
Green
a
hearts in the
clinical and
chat.
forensic psychologist as well as a counterterrorism expert. And today we're going to be analyzing statements made by Candace Owens regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. Before we get started, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. Ever since Charlie Kirk's assassination, Candace Owens has been very outspoken in trying to uncover if there was a deeper plot, if it's more than what we're being told. And what we're going to be doing today is analyzing some of these statements, and I'm going to give you my own forensic perspective on some of the claims that she makes. Also, I'm going to be talking a little bit about counterterrorism, because as I mentioned before, I'm an expert in that as well. I was trained by U.S. intelligence a number of years ago, so I'm going to be giving you some perspective on whether or not the alleged shooter may in fact fit the profile of a lone wolf terrorist. All right, let's just jump right in.
What we do know definitively is that the feds are lying to us. That is obvious. It is abundant. If you're able to think thoughts, you recognize that something is very wrong with the story that has been presented to the public.
So if you watch my other videos, you know I oftentimes talk about body language. And one thing I can say about Candace Owens is she absolutely believes what she's saying. But as a forensic expert and someone who's had experience and things like this, I disagree with her assessment that this seems that strange. If you go through and look at what the FBI has released so far, none of it is outside of what we typically see in these kinds of situations. It all seems pretty standard. We're going to talk more about like the text messages and some of the behaviors from Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But as far as saying that like anybody that has seen this is going to automatically know that something's wrong, I don't actually believe that that's true. I think a lot of us that have experience in this and a lot of us who work in forensics see this as all pretty standard actually.
Is that the feds are lying to us. That is obvious. It is abundant. If you're able to think thoughts, you recognize that something is very wrong with the story that has been presented to the public.
And just to be perfectly clear, I've done numerous videos on the Epstein death, and I've talked about how bad some of the reports were on that. And I'm not saying that you have to just assume that just because the FBI was involved that it was a great case and everything was done right. But I really do think that in this case in particular, we haven't seen any red flags yet.
And I think that what the public doesn't understand, and I count myself among the public, is why it seems as though Turning Point USA executives, and I'll say seems, are not even remotely interested in challenging that official narrative. Who are they protecting exactly?
I think there's a lot of problems with this logic because executives are not homicide detectives. Somebody like Candace Owens, when she sees something like this, she's going to be trying to figure things out. She's going to go, are there alternative explanations? I want to go through every piece of evidence. I want to figure this out for myself. Most people don't really think like that. She thinks about these things in a way that other people probably don't. So the idea that Turning Point USA is not coming out and making statements that are either supporting what she's saying or saying that there's different kinds of investigations that need to happen does not imply that they're complicit, nor does it suggest that they're protecting somebody. And I think that that can be a really dangerous leap in logic because then people are going to identify Turning Point USA as somehow the bad guys in this situation when, in all reality, they may just trust law enforcement.
In challenging that official narrative. Who are they protecting exactly? You'll see oftentimes they and other influencers will invoke Erica as the reason.
I think one of the challenges here, and I can relate to this in other situations, is that when you are so certain about something that you think people are being naive or foolish if they don't see it the same way as you. But I think that the official line that's been provided, that a lot less people are questioning that and a lot less people see it as strange than she may think. Now, I know there's plenty of viewers, of people that are watching this right now that probably absolutely do not believe the mainstream narrative of what happened.
Well, we have the story that could potentially answer all of those questions. And it certainly makes a lot more sense than the slop that the government is currently trying to feed us. First and foremost, Tyler Robinson has never confessed. They acknowledge that he has never confessed to this crime, and he still is pleading innocence on the shooting. In fact, I was told that he was, quote unquote, bewildered by the idea that he carved case.
There's nothing at all surprising about somebody turning themselves in and then pleading not guilty or then.
Okay, real quick. If anybody was wondering, she's wearing that infamous CIA shirt right now. So she had the hat on today. She's wearing the crew neck there. Okay, let's go.
Not confessing. We see that all the time. So just because someone surrenders themselves does not mean that you would assume that just because they say they're not guilty actually means that they're not guilty. I have a very hard time following that logic here because, for example, something that happened about a week ago, Lorenz Krauss, He confessed on live television to murdering both of his parents and then got arrested for it. And now he's pleading not guilty, even after like an hour-long interview of basically explaining in detail what he did and why he did it. He's still pleading not guilty. So the idea of that somebody could turn themselves in and still plead not guilty is not shocking. This is not unusual at all.
He was quote unquote bewildered by the idea that he carved casings. I should be clear, he does not dispute the fact that it is his gun at all. It is his gun.
So another thing that's odd about the way that she's talking about him being bewildered by carving the casings, once again, this is exactly what we see when we go to trials. This is exactly what we see when people have committed crimes. And I know he's just alleged at this point. We'll see how the trial treats him. But point being is that the idea that he's going, well, I don't know how this stuff got there. I certainly didn't do it. Of course he says that. Like everybody says that when they've been arrested for crimes like this. So him being bewildered, I don't think is evidence that he is not involved or that he didn't do it.
Tone down his speech and his rhetoric. Now, on the topic of rhetoric, I am told that Tyler absolutely did not author those text messages. What text messages? He has no idea where these messages came from. Believes that they are therefore entirely fictionalized.
But they deny everything. So that doesn't mean that he did it, but it certainly doesn't suggest just because he denies it that he didn't do it. That's just a part of how pretty much every trial that I've ever either been involved with or watched works.
You're going to be shocked that he doesn't actually use words like vehicle, which should come as no surprise to anyone that has a brain. By the way, I'm sure you caught this, but there's old footage of Tyler Robinson that is now circulating from a car accident that he had. And during the discussion with the officer that showed up, Tyler certainly refers to it as his car, not his vehicle, because that's how most Americans, how most English speakers refer to a car.
So she's absolutely right about this point. People typically would not use words like vehicle. It's peculiar, which is actually why we should believe that the text messages are real. They have a strange style. They are peculiar in the way that they're written. Tyler Robinson also happens to be a very peculiar guy.
Unless they're in.
The funny thing is, Dr. G uses the word peculiar. Like, come on. That's not revelation knowledge. Real quick. I see somebody was asking about the Macron case. I've put together a file. I call it the Daily Candace. And I have all of the court files and the Tyler Robinson trial in that folder. So every time I get new updates, every time there's a new motion or new pleading, the motion to dismiss, the amended complaint, everything like that, I'll put it in there. So there it is right there for you. I'm going to keep it just legal documents, so not like articles or things I got to say or my own ramblings. It'll be legal documents. Maybe if we have video evidence or video court updates, maybe I'll put that in there, but really it's just going to be that. So that's what this link is right here. If you're interested, go ahead and snag it and follow along with it. Okay, let's get done.
The military or on the police force. So here is 2022 police body cam footage, in case you missed that, of Tyler making a crash report. Take a listen.
Your mom's on her way? Yeah, she's gonna be a minute. She's gotta shuttle over from where she's at to her car and then drive over. Gotcha.
His mother was gonna shuttle over from her car? Interesting. There's more, of course.
Actually, there is more. We're going to watch another clip from that same body cam footage.
Okay. I saw it shift yellow, and as I get into the intersection, the bolts, there was a vehicle in the lane between like the leftmost through lane.
So as you can see, he actually does use the word vehicle. This is very consistent with the way that he speaks, which actually proves things in the other direction. It proves more that the text messages are quite real, because who would think to include details like that? So I think this lends credence to the fact that the text messages are in fact authentic. And as she expresses very strongly, nobody talks like that. Nobody uses words like vehicle. Well, Tyler Robinson actually does. And I don't think that she left that out intentionally. I think that it's just a mistake that was made. I make mistakes on my videos as well. I even made a mistake on my video about Tyler Robinson's car crash. So sometimes that happens. I'm not being critical in that sense. But my point is that if her evidence that the text messages are not real is because people don't speak like that, well, Tyler Robinson does, because he's strange. He's a peculiar guy.
I was told also that Tyler is off the charts intelligent and always has been. We know this. He had a perfect GPA in high school. Now, that is precisely what made the idea of him being so stupid as to author a full confessional via text messages pointedly absurd.
So here's another point that I disagree with, because there's a very strong confession drive after someone has committed a very serious crime. So the idea that he told someone he was close to about everything, that is actually very much in line psychologically with what many people do. If you watch enough trials, if you understand enough about evidence, if you've seen enough, if you've worked in this field, you'll know this doesn't seem that unusual. It's the very reason that people like this get caught for these kinds of crimes. So the idea that he's smart and therefore wouldn't have confessed absolutely has nothing to do with it. His intelligence is completely irrelevant.
That is precisely what made the idea of him being so stupid as to author a full confessional via text messages pointedly absurd. Like, any person with a modicum of intelligence is going to go, I'm not going to put this down in writing with every detail. And apparently whoever offered those messages, likely feds, didn't have a modicum of intelligence, or they would have maybe not included every single detail there.
When we look at the text messages, when you go, this seems strange, like the way he's talking about it, it's not as peculiar as you think. He's a weird guy. It fits in with his style. If you look at the way the text messages are written, if you look at the focus on the gun, because he keeps going back to it over and over again, those are the kinds of details that awkward killers oftentimes focus on. The inanimate. He's not talking about and celebrating what he did. He's not all excited about what he did. He's focused on getting his gun back. He's focused on these details. So these text messages actually, psychologically, are totally consistent with everything that we know about Tyler Robinson so far.
I believe Tyler Robinson was involved.
I do wonder, I like this guy. Shout out to whoever told me about Dr. G. And by the way, let me make sure that the mods can make sure that we drop this link in the chat. That'd be great. I wouldn't mind seeing some examples of maybe others. I know it'd probably be a mess because, legal issues and whatnot, but I'd like to see other examples to kind of correlate and, get my bearings as it relates to this being weird. I think it's weird, but I also realize that he's 22, 23 years old. Like, I don't even understand those people, man. I'm better than 3 decades older than them. So I understand that I don't get that group of people. So I wouldn't mind seeing some others that maybe make, this is some weird text message from somebody else that did a crime. So, but that's it. This is really cool. Thank you.
He was, in fact, driving around campus on that day, therefore assisting in the costume changes, likely picking up clothing. And as we broke the story,
when there are people that are trying to commit some sort of crazy murder like this, they're going to include less people, not more typically. They wouldn't dedicate one guy to be the clothes guy, the person for costume changes or whatever. That seems like the kind of things that if people are professionals, they could handle on their own. So to me, that seems very unlikely.
Tyler was seen at Dairy Queen. And what was he seen doing, as I told you? Dumping clothing in the cemetery beside that Dairy Queen. So I think that is what his involvement is limited to. That was his job, to get rid of clothing. It's completely a nonsense to think that a person who had never killed anyone was high on adrenaline after a kill and decided to eat Dairy Queen.
This is where I'd say she's most wrong of anything else she says, but we're going to watch the whole part. I'm going to explain why.
Anyone was high on adrenaline after a kill and decided to eat Dairy Queen. That doesn't even make sense biologically speaking.
Why does anybody eat Dairy Queen?
An adrenaline measure that kicks in after you kill an animal, let alone a person, let alone having it be your first kill. And you're like, he just decided to go to DQ, sit down, write some poetic text messages. It's why
blizzard. You gotta get a blizzard
about that, Dairy.
So for your average person, if your average person was to kill somebody, they're going to be all torn up about it. They're going to be confused about it. It's going to be they're going to be an emotional wreck afterwards if they had to defend themselves or something like that. For your average person. But if we're talking about someone who committed an assassination, we're probably talking about a psychopath. And psychopaths can do things like this with no problem. They can go eat an hour after they've committed a murder, even if it was their first one. Look at Brian Koberger, for example. He murdered 4 college students.
Yikes.
Okay, 4. This was the first time he'd ever kill anybody. Here's footage of him from the next day, just sort of hanging out, going to Costco, shopping a little bit.
Wow.
He has no problem doing this. And physiologically, you can absolutely eat because you wouldn't still be as high on adrenaline as you were right when it happened. There's nothing about this that shocks me. If this is surprising to you, if you think that people are incapable of this, if you really get into some true crime, if you really pay attention to some of the trials that happen, you're really going to be shocked then, because going and getting Dairy Queen after committing murder, nothing about that surprises me whatsoever. You have to understand how underfunctioning psychopaths are. Psychopaths are not that rare. But if it's somebody who truly can commit murder like this, somebody who can assassinate somebody else in front of their kids, in front of their wife, in front of a huge crowd, the idea that they would go and eat afterwards, there's nothing about that whatsoever that should surprise you, even if it was the first time they'd ever done it.
Obviously paraphrasing here. He came in peacefully. He handed over everything. I mean, the whole depiction was like he was just so shocked that his boyfriend could do something like this. And so he handed over everything. Well, according to his family, that's just not true. According to his family, he was raided and he was angry about that raid. And yet he was instantly released back into their care.
Another aspect of this that's going to complicate things, particularly for a lot of people that are not used to trials, that don't watch a lot of this kind of information, is that there may be conflicting information that comes out. It's not unusual at all that the wrong information comes out, that somebody says something incorrect. It's very possible that we are legitimately going to be getting some conflicting information, but that's not unusual. That happens frequently in trials, particularly when you have this many people working together.
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
So I'm not really sure that this being 48 hours before his assassination is a strong argument that there was a greater conspiracy. Because at this point, based on things that Candace Owens talked about, the FBI would be complicit, Israel might be complicit, there have been 4 different decoys would be complicit, there would be a big group that was all involved in this, multiple shooters. It starts to get to a point where it doesn't really make sense anymore.
Right.
Because the most sensible thing, if we're to look at Occam's razor, just the principle that the simplest explanation is probably the correct one, the idea that there's a lone wolf terrorist who wanted to kill somebody, probably wanted to know what it was like to murder somebody, assassinated Charlie Kirk. That is the simplest explanation, and based on everything we've seen so far, I don't see any reason why there's a better explanation. One of the bigger issues I have overall with the narrative that it just can't be Tyler Robinson. Once again, he's going to go to trial. We'll see whether or not they have good evidence that it truly is him, but he fits the profile of a lone wolf terrorist. He appears to be radicalized, ideological. He has specific grievances. His behavior is very consistent with what we see with lone wolf terrorists. So to take away from the fact that this could have very well been an ideologically driven act by a psychopath, and that all of a sudden we're starting to blame our own government, the people that are in fact trying to put away the person that killed Charlie Kirk. That's what frustrates me. What I personally want is for Charlie Kirk's assassin to face justice. And I think that Candace Owens wants that as well. Now, I think that she looks at some of this evidence in a very different way than I do. And hopefully, over time, it will become clear. Hopefully, either myself or Candace Owens or whoever else is watching this won't reject good evidence when it comes in because it doesn't fit their preconceived notions of what's happened or what they believe has happened. Because I'll tell you, I'm fully open to the possibility that if more evidence comes out that Tyler Robinson wasn't the guy, if the alleged shooter didn't in fact do it, then I'm absolutely open to it being part of whatever conspiracy if there's good evidence for that. But so far, I haven't seen anything that really goes against the evidence that the FBI has presented and goes towards evidence that it was anybody else. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Hopefully this is helping you better understand some of the forensic perspective of the information that Candace Owens is providing. Now, I'm not saying she shouldn't continue to ask questions. I think that anybody that wants to better understand the situation should ask any questions they can. But I do think coming to certain conclusions should be limited. I think that there are certain conclusions that people are coming to that are not real conclusions, that are not legitimate conclusions, like that Tyler Robinson never could have eaten Dairy Queen after murdering somebody if he in fact did something like this. Absolutely. If you assassinate somebody and you're enough of a psychopath, there's a lot more that people can do. Trust me, if I was to really get into some of the stuff that I hear in true crime and some of the cases that I've been involved with, eating lunch at Dairy Queen, eating dinner at Dairy Queen, not be that big of a deal. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. If you have any other thoughts about this, please let me know in the comments below. Last thing before we get finished up is I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content.
I already did.
Just like this. All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks, Dr. G. Thank you, whoever told me about that. I like him. That was cool. I appreciate it for sure. Hey, real quick, before we bug out of here, because I do have a premiere that's dropping at 9 o'clock, and I need to eat dinner before I do so. This is a great question. Question: about when did Candace start claiming Charlie Kirk was asking her to return to TPUSA? Because the text line just suggests to speak at another outing, not necessarily back as part of TPUSA. She dropped that dud last Thursday, I believe it was, and she just said it. I don't have it queued up. Maybe I need to start doing that. But this whole, Charlie wanted me to come back. Well, this is not the case whatsoever, as you saw. Thank you so much, Winchell, for your question. No, he wasn't saying that she was going to come back. He was just saying, hey. And truthfully, if you read that text message, that text exchange, as sarcasm, a lot of it makes sense to me. I just think they're being sarcastic. The and don't, Jewish donors fit the stereotype. And I'm about to ask Candace. All that stuff sounds right, man. If you think about like just friends talking and letting out and venting, not just being unprofessional, because it doesn't look like they're being unprofessional, but they're just getting something off their chest. That makes sense. Like I'm just frustrated with something and I'm being sarcastic. Like both those things can be true. So, but we'll see again. I want to say thank y'all so much. Tomorrow, I did put the links to the other videos I missed, but I will try to do that. My wife has an event in the morning, and I have to go. I gotta go support my wife in the morning, and then President Firstborn will be coming back from college tomorrow evening. So if I can thread that needle, I'm gonna try to do a live stream between supporting the wife and picking up President Firstborn. If not, maybe we'll do like a midnight live stream or something, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I don't think Candace is doing a stream tomorrow, so we got a lot of other cleaning the traps that we can do. So I want to say thank y'all. Where did Josh post the video? Josh posted his video. Did Josh do a video? I got the tweet. I don't think he did a video. I think he did a tweet, but I could be wrong. Make sure y'all hit that like button if y'all don't mind. Let me real quick double check real quick. Good old Josh Hammer. And I need to look up the comedian that y'all told me about, that y'all introduced me to earlier. That guy looks hilarious. Oh my gosh. Why do I have all these messages in here? Somebody's clipped my video and put it out on the Twitter space. What you know about that? I feel loved. All right. It doesn't look like Josh put out a video. It looks like he just put that tweet out there, but let me drop the link right here. And just so you can have it. And then I'm going to get ready to bug out so I can be back. Ami's house looks hilarious, y'all. That guy, if he does a whole set, oh my gosh, can you imagine him doing a whole set? Like, 10, 15 minutes as Candace Owens. Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. I didn't know I needed that guy. I did not know I needed him in my life. Oh, he does have, wait, whoa, what did I say? Josh does have a YouTube. Really? Oh my gosh, I can get out of here, man. Dinner is smelling all good and your boy's stomach is about to eat him up. Come on, what did you say? Josh Hammer has a YouTube channel? For real? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, he does. Oh, okay. Well, let me put this in there. Oh, it's on Newsweek. Is that his channel though? No, it can't be. All right, let me put this in here. Thank you, y'all. Thank y'all so much. It's been fun. Oh, I found, no, that's John Anderson. Is there a Josh? All right. That's a terrible sneeze. All right, everybody. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to see you in about 20 minutes or so. I got a premiere for why I think Brandon Tatum has not addressed Candace Owens in a very robust way. Check it out. I'll see you all real soon. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.